right, this is DJ Tunde, all the way from San Francisco, California. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you so much, DJ Tunde, as our own DJ Tunde from out here in the San Francisco Bay Area. So welcome to the NGX Virtual Diaspora Speaker Series for May. This is a special series that's for the Nigerian youth to engage with you and for you to learn about the concerns of the youth as well and interact with them. So we'll just go over to you and ask you to give us some opening remarks.
Okay, I thought I should. It's okay. I thought I should meet everybody here, but I think I know you all actually. Nice to see you all. For those I haven't met, Jesse, how are you?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Hey, nice to see you.
Good evening, Mom.
Bobby, how are you? Hope your restaurant is back on track.
Yeah, we opened yesterday.
Okay, Dr. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Better.
Absolutely.
Isaac,
Hello,
the young billionaire. I know I met you a while back in Canada. Yeah. Nice to see you. Emmanuel, well, I guess I should come on again to meet you. So, panelists, welcome everybody. Bolani, you see, we're in the minority here as always, just 2 minutes. Don't mind those men. Mr. Baba, today, how are you? Joyce?
I'm fine.
So, welcome everybody. But for me, I'm not going to do much of the talking. I want to do more of the listening. I want to listen to you all. And this will be the first of virtual meeting with young Nigerians in the diaspora. And I think this is very important because, well, you know, the Nigerian Diaspora Commission was set up about a year ago by Mr. President, and it's a one-stop agency to deal with diaspora matters. And our aim is to reach out to as many of you as we can. Number one challenge is data. We need to know where you are to plan with data. As you can see with the COVID-19 issue, data is very, very critical. So it's important to know where you are, what you're doing. Nigerians don't like sharing data, and I don't blame them, but the essence is for us to be able to say, okay, Isaac is a real estate guru in Canada, and we want to do real estate here, we can punch a button and say, Isaac, you know what, come home tomorrow, and all that. So we put together a diaspora policy that will guide diaspora engagement. We're waiting for the Federal Executive Council to rectify it after all this COVID-19 goes down and work begins in earnest. And of course, you know, we have various diaspora organizations. We want to find a way of having a big umbrella body, you know, a way we can meet together as Nigerians in the diaspora. For the Nigerian youth, I want to say how proud we are of all of you here and a whole lot of you that are listening in all over the world. We're so proud of what you're doing and you know, the way you're going about it. We have the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, the ugly is that some Nigerians are committing crime, but if one Nigerian commits a crime, 10,000 are doing great things, even in that locality. So having you here, I think is about time to challenge yourselves. We have challenges in our country, no doubt about that, but I'm here to challenge you that what can you do with and for your country? No matter the challenges, the future is in your hands. Is it okay to be the best wherever you are, in America, in Canada, in Africa, in Australia, everywhere in the world, and not have any impact in your home country? So if other countries have done it, we have no excuses. We are the most educated anywhere in the world and all that, and we hear all that. But let's stop paying lip service to that. Now you have a commission, Nigerian Diaspora Commission, to work with you. Now I'm not saying pack your bags and come home. No, we're saying that wherever you are the other hand. Let's clap those two hands together in a structured manner. I know that you'll come home, do one thing or the other, but we want it done in a structured manner. When Ireland was in recession, 1,000 Irish citizens took Ireland out of recession. You can do a lot more. So we're saying that you have the platform. What do you want to do with the platform? It's the first time we're having a diaspora commission. We want to work with you. We believe in you, and we know that a lot can be done together. Nigerians at home working with Nigerians in the diaspora. So I want to hear from you. How do we move on from here? What are the things we can do together? You know, what are the challenges? I have an idea what I think they are, but how do we surmount those challenges? What are you bringing to the table? What should be solutions? We know the problems, I believe we do. How do we move forward with that? So I welcome you all to this forum, and I thank you, Bena, for putting this together. And I hope that we continue structured engagement with all of you Nigerians, young Nigerians in the diaspora, because I know that the future is in you. So thank you very much for doing this, and I look forward to a very robust engagement. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ma. So thank you for that. We'll just jump right into it. We say we have a distinguished list of panelists here. So we'll start off with Mr. Isaac Olowolafe from Canada. So Isaac, how about you just tell us a little bit about yourself? We'll give you about 2 minutes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing in Canada, how you interact with the Nigerian youth out there, and what you think the agency can do to make things better for you.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for this invite and for this great initiative. As mentioned, my name is Isaac Jr. Olowolafe. I was born in Ibadan, and I came to Toronto, Canada when I was 4 years old. And having entrepreneur mindseted parents, I was exposed to business very early growing up in Toronto. And through that exposure to business, I realized that the Nigerian community as a whole was missing in 3 different areas, which is what is important for a thriving community. Those 3 areas was the growth of home ownership, the growth of small businesses, and institutional relationships. So after seeing those 3 areas that I felt were lacking for the last 15 years since starting the company, Dreammaker Incorporated, our focus has been how do we grow more home ownerships among our community? How do we grow the mindset of generational wealth and investing in the city that we're living in? And then also, how do we grow more small businesses in sectors that are thriving in the city? And the last one, how do we grow institutional relationships with the universities, the hospitals, the government, and even the sports and entertainment industry, so that our community have a voice in those spaces as well. The way we've done it on the home ownership side is we're one of the few Nigerian companies to launch a construction and development firm where we're building condos, townhouses, open up our first boutique hotel right by the airport. And that's an example of infrastructure that I think as a community, we need more of. As a community, we have a lot of events. We have a lot of birthday parties, and we're having them in other people's halls and staying in other communities' hotels. That's why it's very important for us to create that type of infrastructure so the dollar is being circulated within our community. When it comes to the creation of small businesses, we launched the first Black Tech Incubator out of any Canadian university to drive the access of resources and mentorship for our community when it comes to creating their own tech businesses and growing those tech businesses. Because as they grow it, they'll be able to hire within their community. So as youths are coming out of universities and colleges and have an area in engineering or in programming or in web design, they would be able to look up to companies within their community to hire them. And the last one with institutional relationships, we launched the first fellowship for sickle cell at one of the largest hospitals here in Canada to focus on research on a disease that impacts the Nigerian community more so than other communities, because we felt that it's important that the hospital puts resources behind that. And also because of our activity in sports and the number of Nigerians that are now getting into the NBA, the NFL, and other sporting arenas, we decided to build a partnership with a national team for Canada basketball, becoming one of the first Nigerian companies to be on a jersey of a national team. So through this, we're now exposing the next generation of Nigerian youths that anything is possible in an area like Toronto and Canada through collaboration, through hard work, and through building key relationships. And you know, we're fortunate to see that, you know, the elders and the Nigerian community is working together to create an organized forum for us to be able to collaborate. And I think, you know, our mindset should be, how do we create more infrastructure? So when newcomers come to Toronto, they know where they could go to gather resources on where they should go for schooling, where they should find Nigerian doctors, Nigerian lawyers, How could they find their first home? And how could they save? And how could they adapt to this new system, which is very different from Nigeria? So once again, thank you again for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with everyone else.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Isaac. Fascinating stuff you're doing out there in Canada. Before we go ahead, let me just give some housekeeping. So yes, a lot of questions about the video and all that. So the video is just restricted to, video and audio is restricted to the panelists. Feel free to ask questions. We did have questions come in, and we have the submitted questions. We'll go ahead and introduce those as the conversation goes on. But you can submit your questions, and we'll definitely try as much as possible to get to the questions. Okay. Okay. So next up is what you call it? We're gonna have Jesse. Jesse, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So Jesse's interesting fellow. Ran across Jesse online, and I thought his background would be pretty interesting for us to hear about. Jesse races in NASCAR, and he's in the U.S. Navy, correct? You're still in the Navy, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's in the Navy and he races for NASCAR. I didn't even know there were even black people racing for NASCAR, not to talk about Nigerians racing for NASCAR. So,
I didn't know either.
So, I mean, Lagos driving is enough for us, not to talk about, yeah, so now be given permission to drive fast. So Jesse, I'm going to give you the chance to, about 2 minutes, take the time, just talk to us. This is your community,
Yeah.
So go ahead, please.
Yeah. No, thank you so much.
Jesse is based in America.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's in the U.S. Navy, right? And he's if I'm saying it correctly, you're the first.
Okay.
Yes, he's the first African American to be in the Navy and race in NASCAR, right?
I wanted you to introduce him properly so everyone can know that.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll go through my story real quick so everybody knows this. But yeah, no, thank you so much for having me on here, and it's great to speak to the community. I don't get these opportunities like this to speak to our Nigerian community. Most of the time, I'm speaking to a U.S. population type. So this is nice, and it's great to be able to find a way to give back and how to just help our community grow, because I feel like we're so powerful. We have all the brains in the world, we have all the skills in the world, and we have all the drive in the world. I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for my mom and dad, immigrating from Nigeria to the U.S. back in the 80s. If they didn't make that leap, and if they didn't work so hard, sure that me and my brothers and my sister, if they didn't work so hard, for us to be where we're at right now, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So, thank you so much to the community and Nigerians for just being who they are. But just a little bit on my story. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. Both my parents came from Imo State to the U.S. I came here first and got his bachelor's degree in Texas. And then from there, went back and married my mom and brought her back here to the U.S. Back when it was a little bit easier to go do all that stuff. And, we grew up in Dallas, and I had a big goal to go off to college and play college football. So, I worked really hard in high school to make sure my grades were high, and also make sure that I was, getting my skills better in football. And then eventually the Naval Academy, United States Naval Academy, started recruiting me to play football for them. So I looked at the opportunity as a great one to be able to go off to a great university, get a great education, and then also when I graduate, be able to start a career immediately as an officer in the United States Navy. So it was a great win in all different kind of ways, and I took that opportunity, went off to college, played college football there at the Naval Academy, went through pretty rigorous schooling there for 4 years, and then graduated in 2010 and became a surface warfare officer in the Navy. So for those who don't know what a surface warfare officer is, basically what we do is we are on the ships and we operate the ships. While on the ships, my first 4 years in the Navy, I went on 2 different deployments to the Arabian Gulf. I spent about 15 total months during that time in the Arabian Gulf in the Middle East, sailing on ships, going into different ports and doing all of that. And in 2014, when I was finally done with that and I was transitioning from sea duty to shore duty, on shore duty, I was going to have a lot more free time on the weekends. That's when I started developing this passion towards cars and towards racing and all that. So I made a crazy decision one day without much of a background in racing that I wanted to become a professional race car driver. And I knew it was going to take a lot. It was going to take a lot of training to get my driving skills up to par. It was going to take a lot of learning of the sport, and it was going to take a lot of money to be able to do it. My parents both, have really hard. My dad was a media specialist. My mom is a nurse. They worked very hard, but they weren't rich by any means. And racing is very expensive. And I wasn't rich too. I was making decent money as a lieutenant in the Navy, but I wasn't making NASCAR money to be able to race. So I used our ingenuity, I used our drive that all of us Nigerians have, and I had to figure out a way. I wasn't going to let one hurdle stop me. So what I did was I started my own small business myself without much business knowledge prior. Started my own small business where I was actually putting on my own racing events, like amateur racing events at different tracks where I lived. And I used money that I made from that to get myself into racing myself. And I also bought a racing simulator and put it in my house and started training on that every single day to get myself better. And then eventually got myself into my first lower level race in 2015 in April. And then from there, over the last 5 years, I've been working my way up the NASCAR ladder. And now I'm racing in the national series of NASCAR, in the NASCAR Truck Series. So I'm the first Nigerian ever to be able to race in NASCAR, and also the first naval officer racing in NASCAR too. But these blessings haven't come just by myself. I didn't make this happen all by myself. I had a lot of great, support from my parents, my family, people in the Nigerian community also, supporting friends from back in high school and everything, people from college, my Naval Academy Alumni Association. Just everybody I've been around, they've seen that I've been really driven towards this thing to be able to make it. And now that I'm even at the level I'm at, I'm not at the top level yet, but I'm working there. I'm 2 steps away. Now that I'm getting to this position, I want to find ways to include our community and include our people. Usually on our race car, when I race, usually most drivers will have an American flag next to their name on the car. I usually have an American flag and a Nigerian flag right there. Do that,
Yes.
and I'm slowly kind of showing the NASCAR community our culture a little bit here and there. Like if you check out some of my posts on social media, you'll see me wearing some Nigerian attire here and there and talking about, my mom, where she came from, my dad, where she came from, and just trying to expose, a different community to us. Because the more we can have the rest of the American culture know what our culture is about, the more that we can be a little bit more, included with what they're doing, and they can understand us and not fear us, right? We see all the stuff going on right now in the U.S. with police brutality, or, even the most recent thing a few months ago where the guy was running or whatever was happening, he got shot by 2 white guys. It's happening because people fear us. They don't understand us. So when you don't understand someone, people typically like to fear people. So the more we can show people our culture, the more we can be more including for all different types of cultures, help ourselves, build ourselves, but also be including and show people, hey, we're powerful, but we can also help you too. The more we can collaborate and make things better for our entire community and our nation eventually.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse, for that. We need to bring some of the downfall drivers from Lagos and see how well they do for NASCAR.
We have a race in Nigeria. That'd be cool.
No, we need to get Jesse to come and study here in Nigeria. And
Yeah.
I'm those downfall drivers to give you a run for your money. And I also say that both for you and Isaac Ololafe, I'm sure your Nigerian genes have helped you to be where you are today. That's very important. So great, both of you. As we take on the next question. You see what I say about being Nigerian? Amazing. Thank you so much, both Isaac and Jesse, for that beautiful introduction.
Yeah, so cool. So thank you. So exciting panelists here. So I'll go on with the some housekeeping. So what we're going to do is, we have a long list of panelists. So we'll go through and have 2 more people speak, and then we'll have Honorable Abike, come in and address us, and then we'll ask some of the questions. And then after a few minutes, we'll come back to the panelists and then take a few more panelists and then rotate on through. And you realize that hello.
Hello.
Hi. And then, like I said, the video and audio restricted to the panelists. If you have questions, please put them in, just type them in, and we'll definitely get to the questions. One other thing I want to just mention, good representation here. This has been the most diverse registration that we've had. We have people from over 30 countries on here, so thank you everyone for that. We have all the way from Ecuador, Qatar, Oman, and all that. So I'm sorry, next up, we're gonna have Ms. Joyce Ebodion. talk to us. She's actually based out in the UK. Interesting story. She's lived in France, the Netherlands, then she moved back to Nigeria, and she's back in the UK now. She runs her own business, international import-export business that focuses on commodities and food items, and also represents businesses in Nigeria. So she's been running this from out of Europe, moved back to expand it, and then moved back to UK. So I think it'll be interesting to hear how she's able to do all this while juggling her family and young kids. Welcome, Joyce.
Hi, good afternoon, House, and thank you for having me. Good afternoon, Ma. My name is Joyce Erewa. My company is, I've registered my company for the past 10 years in Nigeria. Stayed in Holland for 15 years, in France for 4 years. I had my first and second degree in Holland, in Dutch. So after 15 years, I decided to move back to Nigeria because studying in Holland, in Netherlands, was so difficult because of my color and coming from Nigeria. So I know there was some interview I'll go to, they'll tell me, oh, Nigeria, stay aside. Because of those things and stress I went through going to school, I didn't want my children to pass through those difficulties. And I want them to go back home to know where they're coming from. That was my biggest dream. And after 15 years, we moved back to Nigeria. And then my business was 7 years in Nigeria. I represent top brands in Nigeria, like Duru Burger is a healthy food. We export from Turkey and so many other products from France and India and UK as well. About 12 products from all over the world to Nigeria. We represent them there. And I stayed in Nigeria for 3 years to expand my business, to get a bigger warehouse where people can walk in, like companies, supermarket can send their request, we can deliver to them straight away. We also tried during the 3 years to bring in some international business, like there's a company in the Netherlands that take care of the waste products, but that was not successful because we couldn't, the major people would need to work with was asking for the high lobby, which is the major thing I want. If the organization can help with that, like if a company wants to come back to Nigeria to start something, they should allow them. Like I had a meeting with the governor, the former governor of Lagos State, regards to the waste product, and they offered Lagos State alone 1 billion naira yearly, and to employ so many, up to 3,000 employment, create employment in Lagos, and clean up, go on every street to take off their bin. It was declined. 2 years later, the new government started something like that, something similar. And it was so heartbreaking because the company saw it on news and they sent me an email and said, oh, this is our plan. And the next governor is doing it. So I think that's the major place if there's anything the organization can really help do, because a lot of companies are still willing and ready to move to Nigeria to do something in Nigeria, and they want people on the ground to work with them.
Yeah, thank you, Joyce, for that. What is this thing? So Joyce speaks, I forgot to mention, you speak Dutch, French. International languages like Pidgin, Edo, Bini, so multiple languages out there. So if you ever need translation services, please to me and I talk to, people here. So next up, I think we just go through the panelists rather than just break and then come back. So next up, let's have...
sorry, Joyce, don't let me forget, before we're through, I'll get more information about whatever other businesses. Now you have a commission that can see all those things through, but of course, due process has to be followed. So sorry about that, but I'm sure something's going to. We'll talk more about it later. Thank you very much.
Okay. So yeah, so far we've heard from Canada, the UK. So let's go to South Africa now and talk to Mr. Olani Abodedele. He's the founder and publisher of the Nigerian Voice newspaper in South Africa. He's involved in a lot of Nigerian community organization and initiatives, and he's also the founder of the Nigeria Community Excellence Awards in South Africa. So welcome, Nii.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, once again.
Good evening.
My name is Olaniyi Abodedele. I'm based in South Africa. First and foremost, I want to thank the initiators of this idea. It's a very good idea. It's a very welcome idea. We need to come together as Nigerians in the diaspora. We need to put our heads together. We need to see what we can do for our country rather than expecting our country to do something for us. Like I was rightly introduced, I'm based in South Africa. I moved to South Africa in 2005. And when I got to South Africa in 2005, there were still very few of us. And South Africa did welcome us very well until a certain period when Nigerians began to migrate to South Africa in their thousands, and a lot of things began to go wrong. And after my 5-year stay in South Africa, I was not impressed by what I hear about my country. And hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I was not impressed about what I hear about my country and fellow Nigerians. Everything we hear about Nigeria in the news in South Africa is always on the negative. And I was not pleased with that. And it was a challenge I took upon myself and sat down to really understand what I can do to project the Nigerian image and to celebrate and to let South Africans know that there are a lot of positive Nigerians. I mean, if we look at the medical and the medical industry and the university industries, I can boldly say that if Nigerians withdraw in the South African medical sector and their university sector, those industries would feel it, and that's how Nigerians stand out. But all these things are not usually in the media. The media don't talk about them. All we get to hear about is Nigerians dealing in drugs and Nigerians doing illegal activities. So I took up that challenge and said, to me, I feel it's very important I establish a newspaper that would celebrate the many positives of Nigerians. And that was what gave birth to the Nigerian Voice newspaper. The Nigerian Voice newspaper is 10 years in South Africa today. We still happen to be the only Nigerian newspaper here in South Africa projecting the positive side of Nigerians. Aside from that, I took it upon myself as well to go into the Nigerian community politics to really understand what is really going on and how things can be done. But like politics in Nigeria itself, I think the politics within the Nigerian community all over the world is not a child's play. You know, if you want to go into it, then you have to be very tough, you know. But I found out that in those communities, in those community organizations, there are a lot of division. There is no unity. It's just about power play, what people can benefit for themselves rather than what they can do for the community itself. It was a very rough journey. I mean, fractions began to spring up, other organizations started coming up, and a lot of challenges in South Africa. But I didn't stop at that. I also felt it was important as well. Apart from my newspaper, what else can I also do to project the Nigerian image positively? And that was what led me to start the Nigerian Community Excellence Award here in South Africa. And I would say, for now, I mean, we are still the only Nigerian community event in South Africa. It's been very consistent. And the whole idea of the award is to celebrate Nigerians doing exceptionally well in South Africa. We need to showcase them as role models so that South Africans and the world over can understand that the Nigerians in South Africa, it's not all about what they are hearing about. There are Nigerians contributing very well into the South African economy. There are Nigerians that we can be proud about. There are lots of Nigerians doing great things in South Africa. And I feel if we do not celebrate ourselves, no one is going to celebrate us. And that was how the award started. 2020 is going to make it the 4th year.
Okay.
A lot of people come to South Africa for the wrong reason, and a lot of people feel there are no opportunities in South Africa. But I beg to differ. If you are very focused, you know what you are doing, and you are determined, like anywhere in the world, you will always get an opportunity. I mean, for instance, I represent a lot of South African organizations in South Africa. I'm a brand ambassador for an organization. I work with MTN, I work with Old Mutual. Old Mutual is one of the biggest insurance companies on the African continent. These are opportunities that a lot of Nigerians feel. One, they saw trust in me. They saw a young, determined person who by all means wants to make an impact. And I work with all these people. Another thing
sorry, you need to just so that we can get on and move to the next one. We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Questions popping up as well for you, so we'll come back to you.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so next we're going to jump off to, so Nick is not listening. So we have Mr. H.A. Emole. H.A., are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So H.A. is the founder and CEO of the Afropolitan Group, a live entertainment and media company that caters to the Afrobeat market in the US. So if you do, I don't know, FJ is in, what you call it, FJ is the one that brings all them Wizkid, Davido, everybody. So if you want to know all those people, talk to HA here. But HA, you've been doing great events here. You've been taking people back to Nigeria. You take even people who've never been to Nigeria back to Nigeria. You curate trips, exposing people to our country. So please just tell us a little bit about what you do, what your experiences have been, challenges that you face, and how you think, the commission can actually help you, in certain areas. Are you there? AJ? Oh, you froze. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Did you hear me?
No, it faded out for a bit.
Okay. No, I was saying, give an intro, and I just said, can you just tell us a little bit about what you do and the challenges that you faced and how you think the commission can help you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I first want to thank Andres and Ogaobi for hosting us on this platform. Madam, it's so great to meet you. I actually worked with, I think, a niece of yours last year, Tosin. Yeah, so Tosin's a very good friend of mine. We do events in the US. We help connect people to the African experience back home through music and through entertainment and travel. One of the issues we have had, especially with promoting tourism in Nigeria, is we found that the government of Ghana was more helpful for us in planning their year of return than Nigeria. So we've had issues with processing visas, trying to get people from point A to point B. The process is not as seamless as it could be. We were able to take at least up to 150 people to Ghana this past December. And in order to do take those same people to Nigeria, it wasn't even possible because we couldn't get their visas processed in a seamless manner. And sometimes it always comes down to who do you know that can help with it, and that's not a sustainable practice because yes, I'm lucky enough to know certain people in government, but that's not something that can apply to the vast majority of business owners who want to help increase tourism in Nigeria. And it shouldn't be a process where you have to know someone just to apply for visas because that process takes too long for people to process. And there's so many people in the diaspora that are looking forward to visiting Nigeria, but when they go towards the visa application process, it usually dies there. Like there's nothing else for them to go from after that. So that's definitely an area that I know that if we can make as seamless as possible, even if it's online, last year I was fortunate enough to visit 6 African countries. At least for 3 or 4 of them, there was visa on arrival. When I went to Kenya, I paid for the visa. I think it was $50-something, landed, entered the country. When I went to Ethiopia, maybe another $50-something, landed, entered the country. If there's something that we can just make like that for Nigeria, where diaspora people can come back, African Americans can come back, people of all African descent who want to visit the country can come, and then they're just paying for visas on arrival when they arrive into the country. I believe that would be a more seamless process. But thank you so much for participating, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Abaobi.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you, Eche, for
thank
that.
Thank you, Eche. Can I quickly say something?
So,
again, we move to you again later. But because I don't want to forget. Now we have this on arrival. I mean, it's a new policy that President Buhari has introduced. So then we'll work with you. I remember Totu was here in December with a few people. So you were the couple that took everybody to Ghana, not Nigeria.
Yes.
And you the challenges. Yes. But we have a door of return. We'll talk more about it. We have the door of return. We've been doing it for 4 years, but on a smaller scale. We'll talk more as we go into it. But I tell you, Eche, post-COVID, the place to be will be Nigeria. We'll work with you and every other person. And they are beginning to come. Like I said, we want it more structured. So I'm glad we have you. So we're going to have work on the challenges and have a seamless program. We'll work with you and everybody. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again, Eche. So again, so for the audience, if you have questions, send them in. We'll get to the questions. If they're for a specific person, please put the person's name and we'll get back to them. So next up is going to be Nneka Achapu. Nneka is the National Census and Civic Engagement Coordinator for Black Alliance for Just Immigration. She's also the founder of the African Public Affairs Committee, AfriPAC. AfriPAC advocates for the empowerment of diaspora Africans through civic engagement. And she also founded the US Bilateral African Chamber of Commerce. So Nneka is actively involved in the whole Nigerian, African, let's get together, let's, take our fighting spirit out there. A very interesting background. Nneka is actually grew up in Italy, and she's never actually lived in Nigeria. So that's another thing that's actually interesting about the panelists here. There's a number of people here have never lived in Nigeria, which I find very interesting. So Nneka has never lived in Nigeria. She speaks, Nneka, you have to help me, but I know she speaks Spanish, Italian, Hindi, Arabic, and well, I guess when she comes on, she'll tell us the rest. And interestingly enough, English is not her first language. So anyway, welcome, Nneka, and please tell us a little bit about what you do, how you think the commission can work with you, and if there are any challenges or success stories that you've had. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Obi. I am delighted and grateful for the time and the space to be here. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, Honorable, for giving us an opportunity to talk. We met sometime this year at the United Nations General Assembly, and I was talking to you about my issue with my passport, as you know. Unfortunately, it's been everywhere I go, whether it's back in Italy, back in the US, our embassies are completely inefficient. And I know that this is not your role, it is actually the Minister of Foreign Affairs role. However, with the vibrant diaspora that we have everywhere in the world with Nigerians, I'm hoping that our message is clear and strong to the Minister of Foreign Affairs through you, the Diaspora Commission, to really look into the services of all the embassies, the lag, the inefficiencies, the rudeness. I think it's very important for our benefit of Nigerians everywhere in the United States and everywhere in the world to have an efficient system as far as immigration is concerned. And then the other thing that I wanted to address, I've worked in immigration for a long time as an advocate, and the travel ban has been a very, very huge issue, at least with Nigerians in the diaspora living in the United States. I would like to know what the Nigerian Diaspora Commission is doing to address that issue. What is the role of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission in hearing what our grievances are to find out what the issue is with the travel ban. Is there an estimated time where that ban will be lifted? Do we have any information on what is going on that end? And then the last point I wanted to make is still regarding Nigerians that are living here in the United States, is the concern for a lot of the loss of lives that we're starting to see due to racism here in the US. It's targeted towards Black, but it's also targeted towards us in some cases. There was a young man from California that was murdered. No one is talking about that. We feel that the government is not paying attention to what is happening in diaspora. And I am hoping that having this dialogue will allow us to begin something where we can work together and really listen into what people are experiencing and suffering, and in particular to what's happening at the border. I live in Texas, and I have been noticing a large increment of people that are needing assistance with ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, people that are being deported, people that are being in real serious trouble that we feel, or at least I feel, that the Diaspora Commission should have a better interest, or at least a better engagement into solving these issues. So thank you so much for giving me the platform and the time, and I hope that we can discuss. I am sorry, I'm in the middle of moving, so I will be signing off, but I'm hoping to get a good response.
Okay, Neka, thank you very much. Let me quickly respond to you, because you can leave anytime. But thank you. But I remember, I can remember meeting you in New York. I can never miss seeing a beautiful face like yours. But a shame that you couldn't solve the passport problems. But again, it's an issue that is coming up, and we'd like to take specific cases. We've resolved quite a few. The thing is communication. Communication. You may be surprised that those issues we're talking about is a break in communication. So when these cases come to the Commission directly, as I speak with you, we have an immigration attaché that has now been posted to us so that we can deal with immigration issues. But I'm telling you that immigration really has improved in the last couple of months. There was a law because they were trying to change from 5 years to 10 years. So your validity now is 10 years for your passport, and they did it for the diaspora. So around that time, there was issue of passport booklet and all that, but it's been resolved. And after this COVID-19, I'm sure you see a lot of progress in that regard, but I'll give you contact numbers, emails, emergency numbers. Give us specific cases, we'll deal with them. So that is one. Two, now we have this on arrival. So when you're coming to Nigeria, you don't even need to renew your passport. You can come to it back home. So that is the major policy of this administration that's very diaspora friendly. So the other issues you talked about, the issue of IS and all that, there's a limit to which you can get involved in the affairs of another country. In terms of deportation, I mean, there are rules and all that, but these are things that I'm sure we can address here. The issue of Trump's travel ban is at the level that conversations are ongoing, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Interior, because what the American government said, we talked about biometric transfer of information and all that, but conversations are ongoing. But one thing is clear, Nigeria does not deserve to be on that ban, based on what Nigerians in America are doing. And the beauty about that was that a lot of defense came from Americans themselves for Nigeria. So unfortunately, COVID-19 has even put a stop to all that, but we'll continue from where we stopped. But what happens in America, Trump policy of banning people and all that, there are conversations that I'm sure we can't complete here. They have to do with their own domestic policy. But here is what I think. You may not agree with me, but what is your own policy to your own country back home? You are doing so much African American and all that. We want to work with you so that you can make an impact in your own country. At the end of the day, you want to return to Nigeria. At the end of the day, how can we do all we can to build a better country? I think I'm not, well, if it says they don't want you in America, we want you at home. But at the same time, we want you to be able to work together wherever you are back home. So I hope we have more conversation about that in as we move on, because that is your field. And when you have specific cases of a Nigerian being brutalized or being maltreated, we intervene. But so we can't deal with general cases. If you tell us, we'll intervene. So we got to work with you in that regard and look at all the challenges and see how we can make it better. So thank you very much for your comments. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much for responding to my question. I would love to be home. I would love to live in Nigeria. unfortunately, because of the way things are run, it's very hard for me to live in that environment, which is why I am still here in the US.
You don't know what no, Nick, I'll tell you something. Until you try it, you won't even know. So we're not even saying pack your bags and come home.
My father tried it at least 5 times to come back home.
Well, it's okay.
He had to go back to Italy because there was no system to take care of him.
It's okay. So together we will build a system, because you are the younger generation. Those who want to join a building system will join and building the system. So it's not a compulsion, but at the end of the day, we're saying how much can we do? Italy was built by Italians, not by foreigners. Nigeria will be built by Nigerians, and those include you in the diaspora. So Nick, I'm sure I'll invite you someday, and if you run back, I'll run back with you.
Absolutely. And then one last thing. Houston is one of the largest cities with the largest concentration of Nigerians. I know this is directed to the foreign ministry, but again, I'm hoping that these questions can be redirected through you, who is the Diaspora Commission in charge person. Houston needs a consulate. There is no reason why I have to book a ticket to DC or to Atlanta to get anything, any services done for the Nigerian government. So
yes, I agree with you. That conversation is on, but we're having issues with America itself. America says they have only 2 here, so Nigeria cannot have more than 2. So there's a conversation between America and so it's not more about Nigeria, but the fact that the rule says they have Abuja and Lagos, so we can only have 2 there. But there's a conversation ongoing. However, there could be the immigration gave it a name. Some immigration is working on something so that if it's about collection of passports and all that, you can have a place in Houston. If our immigration has made some application asking for people to bid to have this spaces, so it's an ongoing conversation. But the key reason is that Nigeria and America, only 2 in Nigeria, 2 in America, and that is why you can't have more than 2. They need on the West Coast too. So it's an ongoing conversation. If America says yes, we will go ahead. They say they also want more in Nigeria, so it's an ongoing conversation. But in the meantime, the issue of passports will be decentralized, because that's the key thing. And immigration is working hard on that. I'll give you a feedback as we go on. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're taking all the space and the time, and you've never been to Nigeria, so we need to sanction you.
Sure, I'll come back as soon as it's better.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Deka,
Please
for that.
Please vote, guys. Sorry, if I have 2 seconds more. If you are eligible to vote this November, please get registered, get your mail-in ballot, and vote. We're fighting for our lives. So please do what you need to do. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Neka. All right. So yeah, so Neka's you're gonna drop off right now. So any questions, you can leave them here, but we'll definitely get them across to Neka if you have any specific questions. Next up, we're gonna have Dr. Ba Shepkong, right? Dr. Shepkong is the Vice President of the Plateau State Association. He's a social scientist and professor of sociology and cultural diversity at the Central Ohio Technical College in Newark, Ohio. He also works as a public policy practitioner and independent consultant. Welcome, Dr. Shepkong.
Right. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So if you can just quickly, we're going to try and move things up a little bit. If you can just quickly tell us a little bit about what you do, your organization, challenges that you faced, and how you think the commission can help.
Yeah, for me, just real quick, as you rightly said, my name is Bat Shepkong, and I was born and bred actually in Jos Plateau State, Nigeria. I moved to the United States in 2004, and since then I've been here. It seems like forever. But one of the things that we do as a member of the Plateau State Association, the vice president I am actually of Plateau State Association USA, is that we view our role as the catalyst for positive change. I know everyone is talking about Nigeria, but we are also worried about our state. If you look at the ton of events since since 2001, Nigeria, Plateau State has been engulfed in some form of ethno-religious crisis, and anything that affects people back home affects us here too. So we try our best possible to see how we can engage with the government of Plateau State and work with them to just lend our voices, especially in terms of policies, and how to make things better in the state. And also, I live in Columbus here, and I'm also involved in the community, in the African community and Nigerian community as a whole. And one of the things that I find very, very interesting is that we, Nigerians in the diaspora, we're just, everyone is just living in his own enclave. You know, if you even try to get involved with most Nigerians, is either there are this power struggle, or you are Hausa. Actually, I'm not Hausa, but I've been called Hausa so many times, which in my own opinion, it's an honest ignorance, but at the same time, it's a little bit insulting to me that someone will call me a Hausa man from a negative perspective. There's nothing against a Hausa man, but the ignorance of a lot of us when it comes to Nigerians. So in terms of the challenges, actually, for me, one of my things is I really want to be, there are a lot of us that want to be involved in the political processes in Nigeria, but it's extremely, extremely difficult, you know. So I don't know how the organization will be able to make that happen. How can we harness, and secondly, how can we harness all these talents that we have here? You know, don't even get me started when it comes to brain drain. But how can we harness the talents that we have over here so that we can be able to use that back home? Because when you go to every university here, I'm assuring you, if you see 7 African professors, believe me, 5 of them will be Nigerians. You go to a hospital, where in a hospital where there are 10 African doctors, be rest assured that 8 will be Nigerians. So that is my own thing. I'm a little bit worried about the brain drain. So how can the government of Nigeria attract the best talents back home? Some of us really want to go back. We want to go back home, but we're afraid. Somebody like me, you know, the issue of security in my state is very discouraging. So if I want to go back home, I'm beginning to think about, okay, am I going to be safe? This and that. So if all these things will be put in place, I think some of us will not find it difficult to pack our bags and go back home, because whether we like it or not, Nigeria is our home. We don't have any other place. So thank you for this, for having us, Honorable Abike. And that is my first time of meeting you, and I hope we'll be able to, you know, to form this this bond in the near future.
Thank you very much, Brad. I was born in Plateau, actually. I was born in Jos.
So you see, you're a Plateau woman, by the way.
A Plateau man.
Yeah.
But they don't call me Malam. I'm sure all I will say, you Malam. It's part of the things we're trying to, even in the diaspora, and this is very instructive. We still deal with issues. They say this group as society. We need to get over all that. Like I said,
absolutely,
it's ignorance, it's immature ignorance. But we here, I'm sure, will rise above all of that. In terms of politics, well, if you want to participate, you have to be home. That's just the reality. You need to be home. You need to be on ground. You need to study the situation. But I also advise that you can, you know, participate from there in terms of telling people to be able to vote and all that. But again, politics, we'll talk about that later. But you talked about, anyway, we can move into all that. But yes, catalyst for positive change, a lot of things we can do. There are challenges, no doubt. That's why we're here. There are challenges, no doubt, but we'll work together to surmount those challenges. That's why you have a Diaspora Commission, you know. And in terms of pulling resources together, that's why we have all of you. Imagine just this few of you on this panel alone. You are enough resources to pull together. And that's why we're reaching out to you and working with you. And imagine each one of you, I mean, look at all of you, just look at you. Aren't you proud of it? I mean, we're also proud of the Nigerians. So that is the crux of the matter. How do we harness this talent and resources and getting away all the pettiness? I'm not interested in pettiness. We're going to work together. And that's why I'm particularly reaching out to the Nigerian youth, because I believe in you and I believe that you can make a lot of changes. So the challenges are there. We'll tackle them together, collectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And one last thing, please. We know in the US here is a census, right? So please make sure you are being counted, please, because also that is very, very important.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Definitely. I mean, Dr. Shepkong, that's actually true. I think this time around, I think you can actually even indicate Nigeria on
Nigeria,
the
yeah,
census.
we have it. Yeah, we have it in the
So,
census.
yeah,
Census,
so
yeah.
and
Got it.
definitely representation is very
Yeah.
important. So thank you for that.
Thank
So
you.
before we go ahead, so housekeeping again. So there are questions and comments coming in on the chat as well. So for the panelists, if you can just pick in there, there's some questions that are specific to some panelists. If you can pick in and respond, that will be fine. So next off, we're going to have Bobby Digi. Bobby is the president of the Nigerian Diaspora organization, NIDO, in New York. He was born in Brooklyn to parents of Nigerian descent. So, and he owns a restaurant actually, very industrious guy. And he owns a restaurant, O'Harry's Public House in Staten Island. And he runs the Canvas Institute that impacts community-driven artists, scholars, and civic leaders. And he does some other stuff, so you tell us about that. Like I said, he's the president of NIDO. He's the youngest elected Nigerian president that I know, so Bobby, please come on and tell us a little bit about what you do, challenges that you face, success stories that you have, and how you think the agency can help Nigerians and your organization as well.
Thank you so much, Obi. And I appreciate you really putting work to making this happen along with the Honorable Abike. My name is Bobby Digi, Olisa, and it's such an honor to be here. I've been listening and I've really been so impressed. I'm in great company and I'm just really so inspired by all of the people that have spoken before me. So I'm the newly elected president of the New York chapter of NIDO, and it's quite an honor to be in this capacity. So a bit of my history. I'm a community activist. I've spent over 15 years doing community development work on Staten Island, New York. And my focus really is empowering the youth, job development, and job creation. So I've spent years mentoring young people. I've mentored about 10,000 people, creating one of the biggest youth empowerment summit in New York. And I created that initiative in 2007. And it was really as a means to uplift the youth, because I looked at my track and my path, and I always try to fill the voids that I saw growing up. Through college, I created a small home improvement business. That home improvement business essentially gave me the pathway to be able to pay for my college, and later on to have a deeper understanding about real estate. So I have some real estate investments. I own a restaurant currently. I just helped open up a clinic in my old neighborhood. And the reason I did that is because when you look at most of the Black communities in the US and New York specifically, there's so many needs and there's so many resources that we're looking for. And I've always believed in that you have to empower yourselves, and no one can do for you more than you can do for your own self. And it starts with you. I'm very grateful that I've had two great parents, my mother who lives in Nigeria, Mina, and my dad who has been in America for about 50 years. They came here to further their education and are both entrepreneurs. And through them, I've been able to, develop my skills and acquire the knowledge in there as well. But before I go further, I have to do some house because I'm here on an official capacity as an elected official. I want to, first of all, acknowledge the Honorable Abike Dabiri, who is the CEO and chair of NICOM, of which NIDO and NIDO America is under. I really appreciate her. I had the opportunity to meet her recently, and she really strikes me as someone who really wants to empower young leaders and emerging leaders. And I think that's a big thing. And in all of the conversation that you've been hearing that a common theme. I want to acknowledge our BOD, our BOT, all the chapters and the young leaders who are in the different chapters doing great work as well, first of all. And for those who don't really know what NIDO is, NIDO is Nigerians in the Diaspora, of course, Our 4 missions are to reverse the brain drain, which is what we're talking about now. How can we harness our knowledge and our collective insight and experience and take that to sort of empower Nigeria? The other thing is to facilitate knowledge sharing in the tech sector and business development. And also, we want to encourage and promote direct investment into Nigeria. And I've done that. Over the years, I've invested in real estate in Nigeria. I have created different types of initiative. About a year ago, I took one of my African-American brothers. We went to Niger State to actually build a library in one of the schools. And we're looking to expand that initiative. And I did that under, that wasn't even a NIDO initiative. It's just part of my visit in Nigeria over the years. I also created, it's called Canvas Institute. And the reason I did that was because, again, I saw a void, I saw a need, and I wanted to fill that need. It's the only Black-owned arts gallery on Staten Island and the multidisciplinary space here. I ran for political office. I ran for a state assembly position, being the first Nigerian to do that in New York State. Why did I do that? Prior to that, I was the elected president of the oldest political organization on Staten Island. Years of being a community activist and really seeing that if you want to see change on the ground, you have to participate and you have to be a player. I want to use this opportunity to encourage Nigerians all over America, and I'm starting to see more and more who are running for political office. It's critical that we support them not only morally, but financially, that we put our dollars behind candidates that look like us, because that is representation in America. Look at the Jewish community, for instance, look at the Russian community, look at the Albanian community, look at the other communities, how they have people who are in political position. And then what happens is when the president decides to introduce bans, you will find that they have political clout. We have the numbers, Nigerians. We have the numbers. We need to educate ourselves further. When I ran for office, I ran against my mentee. And the reason he won was partially because Nigerians were divided in the Muslim Nigerians said, well, I'm not a Muslim. So they were gonna go with this, the other guy because he was a Muslim, not knowing that my mom is actually Muslim and half of my family are all Muslims. But again, it's education. We know a lot, we're intellectual, but there are areas that we should be playing and participating in here and here in America, in the diaspora, that we should be stakeholders that we're not. I saw the brother from Canada talk about building a hotel near the airport. There are sectors that we have the know-how. We just need to collaborate and bring our resources together. And by that saying, Obin, I want to encourage you later, if you could share, make sure that we are all in touch with each other, because I've seen people that I want to support and I've seen people that I feel I can get support from. So NIDO in New York, what we're doing now, and you're going to see this, we're going to make a hell of a lot of noise later this year. I've been reaching out to different Nigerians. I have a cousin who is a councilman in East Orange, and he's much younger than me. We have actors who are in Hollywood, like Benga. We have major artists like Laolu, who are in New York. These are great Nigerians doing amazing and profound work. What we need to do is we need to amplify what they're doing, and we need to make sure that we continue to work together. So let's not just talk about the issues, but let's work together to bring about the solutions.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Bobby, for that. Yeah,
I'll just make some quick remarks to Bobby. Thank you, Bobby, and thank you for your leadership. As the President Bobby in the making, and you and my brother from party, politics. So we want to see that back here. So thank you for all you're doing, and I'm glad you're talking about the Nigerian Diaspora Organization, and hopefully we can have the younger ones get more involved in everything we're doing like you are doing. So thank you very much. I just want to say we're impressed. But I don't want, you start this thing now, you're new. I hope in another 1 year we're not going to hear, oh, they're fighting. Don't let's hear that from the younger generation. Be the example, please, I beg of you. Don't let's hear,
we definitely intend to.
So we're looking forward to you, providing leadership to everybody. And you said something here, already we're all connected. I can see what every one of you can do. So it's about translating that connection to practicality, to reality, that paying lip service. And just by the way, some people are saying they need your social media handles so that they can follow you. I'm getting that.
Yeah, I will give it to
everybody.
Yeah, I'll give it. So for those, so I'm on Instagram and I'm fairly new to that.
No, but just a minute, I'm thinking that maybe Obina can find a way of putting it on somehow and share it. Because they want for everybody, they're asking for everybody. Jesse, I think you have some fans who want you to come and start racing right away. So
yes. So let me just jump in so quickly. So what we'll do is I know a couple of the panelists are already engaging on the chat. So feel free to drop your social media on the chat. And for the audience, there will be a post-event email that will go out with the profiles and links to all the panelists as well, right? So so like I said, you continue to engage in the chat while we go ahead. So next up is Tunde Ogunsalu. Tunde is the founder of Think Africa. Think Africa is a social enterprise that's focused on connecting the diaspora and Africa through impactful and entertaining events and travel experiences. So Tunde has been very instrumental in taking a lot of people back to Nigeria and Africa, right? Putting this app, actually run into some of his events, and he takes people, not just take them and, around entertainment. He does workshops, takes those company tours, different things, right? So that they get the full experience of Nigeria and not just, going there to visit and then coming out. So welcome, Tunde. So please just share with us quickly. We're going to try and accelerate this so we can get to Honorable and get more conversation with her. So just tell us quickly what you do, challenges, and how you think the agency can work with you guys.
Yep, for sure. Hello, everyone. First off, thank you, Obina, for curating this platform and giving us this opportunity today. Honorable Abike Dabiri, thank you very much for your leadership, for all that you've done so far. And then also thank you for all the panelists and everybody who has joined. So pretty much just a little bit about Think Africa. For just as Obina said, we're an organization focused on young professionals. And our main goal is to connect them back to what's going on ground. Not just, via social media, not just via information and virtual platforms, but our main goal is to get everyone to actually touch the ground, the soil, and see exactly what is going on Nigeria for themselves from a first-hand basis. So, I mean, my theory is once people touch down and they get a dose of, the Nigerian air, the Nigerian hustle, the Nigerian mentality, and get to connect with people, they're able to bring about more solutions that actually are geared towards the system that is currently in place, the people who are currently on ground, And then also the next thing is just thinking about opportunities. So what we've done is put together different workshops, including even Honorable Abike Dabiri. I know she's attended one of our workshops as well, just to kind of show people exactly what the opportunities are on ground and connecting them with different business leaders, letting them know what political or, institutional structures are in place to help them forward. And, letting people know what support that they're actually getting from the government to do various things. So for the past 4 years, we've done, various different trips. And we've had people who've come back and start businesses in different sectors, whether they were connecting in terms of fashion, entertainment, and the arts, to people who are interested in real estate, agriculture, and who have kind of made investments in this space already. So, I mean, the next step is just figuring out how we kind of bring everything together. We want to learn what additional resources are out there for us. We want to learn exactly what the Nigerian Diaspora Commission is really set out to achieve and how we can come and be a part of all of that. And then, finally, just like my brother Eche spoke on earlier, there's just certain roadblocks that are currently in place that makes it a little bit difficult to get people to visit Nigeria as opposed to other countries, let's say Ghana this past year, right? And what we just want to do is, I know you've spoken, you've given some great insight on, visa and arrival and different ways that we can, make the process seamless. But we just wanted to see like what additional ways are there to make sure that when people touch down in Nigeria, they know that it's with the support of, the Nigerian government, We know that you're diaspora. A lot of these people are coming for their first time. And, you know, the most important thing is to make sure that everyone comes and they feel welcome and they have the best experience, which also leads to them becoming a stakeholder and part of the growth and development of what's going on in Nigeria, ultimately. But that's it from me, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Another fantastic contribution. I'm glad I attended your workshop. I can't remember which one. I attended as many diaspora events.
Actually, I think you sent your son, Dakwa. Dakwa was there.
Okay. Was it in Nigeria?
It was in Lagos, yeah.
Oh, okay, well done. I'm sure you had a good. Now, which Ogusalo are you? Anybody? Any one of them? Anyway, we'll look at that. I know some Ogusalos. Thank you very much. Again, you've touched on what HA talked about and that connection. Now, subsequently, one of the things we will be doing, I'm working with you in that field. We'd like to have a Midcom desk at the airport where we're going to welcome you ourselves back home. And right from there, we deal with those challenges that, you know, tourism. We're working with DG, National Council for Agriculture. We're working with the Ministry of Information, Tourism and Culture. So we're noting all these things and we're going to see what we can do about them. So what we're planning is in the plans before COVID happened. You're going to have our desk at the airport. So we'll be talking to the airport authority so that you can just welcome you home into our warm hands. And we'll take your suggestions on that regard. You know. So all points noted. But for this Ghana of last year, we've been doing job return on a small level. We'll make it bigger and better. And you know what? I'll tell you something very quickly. We've received several, especially Black Americans. We had about 40 of them just last month in Badagry. They left with amazing experiences. I guess, like you said, maybe because we took charge, we received them, they still want to come back again and again. So they are there. Most of them came from Maryland and they come again a second time. And a lot of people are doing their DNA and they say they're Nigerian. And by the way, Echi and Odusalo Ago, one of those Africans who says they're Nigerians, they have DNA in their blood, better get them home. You know, what's the name of the lady who came not too long ago, the rapper? So there are challenges, but I'm telling you again, look at the beauty of your country. You know, these people are coming and saying, listen, what, we love you despite this challenge. So we work at all those. So I'm glad about all your comments and suggestions and how we can all work together. I can't do it alone. I'm going to be doing it with you. Who knows whether the next time you come, you're going to have Mr. Busalo receiving you as you arrive in Nigeria. You know, so thank you very much. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
And then, sorry, before I forget, Think Africa. We have a magazine called the Diaspora Quarterly. You know, we stopped a while, we're going to start again, where we celebrate all of you. So you're going to have all of you profiled in that magazine. We take it with us everywhere we go, especially when the president is meeting with Nigerians abroad. So that's our own way of celebrating the goodness of Nigerians everywhere in the world. So people like you, we're going to continue to celebrate you. We're going to start what you call Diaspora Profiles. Because, you know, it's not enough to have you here. It's also important for Nigerians to know that you are there. Look at your achievements. So we want to celebrate you. So we have the Diaspora magazine. We're going to be doing Diaspora Profiles. So I'll be reaching out to you, profiling you and showing you're Nigerian so that we know, we need to uplift ourselves and be inspirational that we are the best anywhere. So I just remember to chip that in. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ma. And thank you, Tunde, for that. So last off, we go to Eniola Cole. Eniola, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Hello,
Hi.
everyone.
Yeah, so Eniola is the executive director of Nest Action. She founded Nest Action while studying for her master's at University of Essex, and she returned to Nigeria to support developmental efforts in Nigeria, right? And been there for about 7-8 years doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So quickly, if you just tell us, your experience. I mean, you've been outside, gone back in. So what's the experience been like? What are the challenges? And even though you're in there, how do you think the commission can make things better?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I just want to say a quick thank you to Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa, the Honorable Chair of NIDCOM. And I've watched you from when I was a little girl on TV until now. And I remember even when having the first conference for Nest Action in the UK, in Essex, we invited you and your response was so wonderful. I know that you really have a heart for development of Nigeria, and a lot of us look up to you. I just needed you to know that. I also want to say thank you to Obinna and the entire NGEX team for putting this together and for giving me the opportunity to speak. So basically at Nest Action, we work in democracy and governance, supporting public sector institutions such as the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. We do training and capacity building for their staff, election observation, youth sensitization around elections, and we use entertainment and social entrepreneurship to try to get more youth involved and on board, as well as to fuel our work. One of my mentors says that the only way up is down, and that has practically been my experience over the past 7 years with Ness Action. I've learned that service-mindedness and solution orientation can take anyone further than their greatest expectations. And there is a level of service-mindedness that is needed if you want to work with any institution in Nigeria. Beyond that, we've been able to see how we can get Nigerian youth, even in diaspora, on board with what we do, because we started all the way over there. My partner is also still in the UK, so we get young people involved in our work. And I think what's really important is that Nigerians in diaspora need to not just figure out how to work together over there, but how to also get involved with what public institutions are doing in Nigeria. No nation can truly move forward without having strengthened institutions. Now, we all know there are a lot of problems, but if we had more solution providers, like I've seen almost everyone here has, everyone here, in fact, is doing one great thing or the other. If we all put our heads together and truly focus on our public institutions, we can see how we can make our country a place where we all can come back home to. We faced challenges, we faced successes, but it's also been very uplifting to know that the work that you do makes a huge impact on, how things were done. I can say categorically that the way elections have been conducted from even 2011, 2015, 2019, we've seen really huge improvements, and that's a plus. I know the kind of work that I've had to do, even in the background, to get things done. And it's been a huge plus to know that your brain has, the value that can be used by public institutions. There's a lot of brain drain going on because we don't have our best brains all around the world coming together to see how they could support the work of public institutions. And I would like to see how all of us here and, in partnership with NIDCOM, can work together to see how we can, for those who are interested, come together and help our public institutions. Just a few pointers for those who are listening who may want to come back home. I was scared as well. Do I come back home? Do I stay back? But I took the plunge and I decided, look, I have this dream. I had that desire, burning desire for elections, because I saw the relationship between elections and violence while growing up in Plateau State. I had times where I had to run for my life, literally. I had seen burnt bodies, and that really affected my thinking and made me look for solutions. So it starts from identifying a problem, trying to find a solution around it, excuse me, trying to find the public institution that, has the power to make change, and then approaching them. It may take time, but every dream is valid. If you have a dream for Nigeria to be a better place, you can even also reach out. And if you don't know how to get started, I'm willing to support. I'm willing to just say a few words to encourage you. If you want to come back home, you can come back home, and we can also help you to, find a way around that. I just want to see a way that our, people all around the world can get more involved in building our public institutions and, be able to come back home without having fear for the quality of their lives. We owe that to the next generation. The societies where we live in and value, the environment and all that, they also went through pains. So sometimes we may need to sacrifice the now for the future. And yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you, Eniola. Exciting stuff you're doing out there.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Eniola.
Thank you.
As we move on, just like somebody is asking here, we're going to ask you how you think this can be achieved. 20 institutions, which is one of the main things President Buhari is doing. He says let's strengthen institutions, and we find that he leaves institutions to thrive. So we move to that later, but that's a very key one. And I like your advice and offering a hand of support for Nigerians. A word of advice, inspirational. Again, a very major platform to work with you. So we look forward to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thanks. And Eniola, real fast, I know they're asking for your social media handle in the chat, so if you can just
okay.
Put it in. Yes.
All right, I will.
Okay, so thank you to all the panelists. It's pretty exciting. So we're going to move on now to a conversation with the Honorable and CEO of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission.
Just a minute.
I know the panelists are
just
here,
a
so
minute.
what we'll do.
Just a minute. Sorry, before you move, I never said anything about Nii when they spoke. So Nii, how are you?
Okay.
Thank you for all you do in South Africa. Nii has been a voice really in South Africa, ensuring that you project the good image of Nigeria. I remember that. I just saw your face. Your Nii is very dark, so your I couldn't really see your face. I saw your name. It's really great things in South Africa, and I'm glad about the fact that we have representation from 30 countries here listening in. So thank you, Nii, again for all you do, promoting passionately the image of your country. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nii. Okay, Ma. So we're going to come to you now. So the panelists, so we're there. So what we'll do is within the conversation, as questions come up or different issues come up, I might call the panelists to also answer some questions. And if you have questions or comments as well, please feel free to jump in. We want this to be a broad conversation as possible. So Honorable, so we'll come to you now, right? So starting off, can you just tell us, what NIGCOM is and what it is not, right? So there's a lot of talk around, diaspora, you're a representative in the diaspora, but I don't think it's clear as to what is it that we can expect from NIGCOM and what are the responsibilities, how can people engage with you, what is existing on ground, and what are the plans for the future?
Oh, that can take it an hour. So let's just summarize it. Right. NIGCOM is for you. It's a one-stop agency for Nigerians in the diaspora. So because of NIGCOM, we're having this conversation. It's a one-stop agency to deal with all diaspora matters. How do we harness the human and material resources of Nigerians in the diaspora? Simple. Simple, but a huge task. We've been paying lip service to, we are the best in the world, the most educated immigrants, blah, blah, blah. But how do we harness? That is what NIGCOM is about. So even this team alone, I can imagine what we can all do to work together. So we're coming up with a diaspora policy that will be ratified by the federal government of Nigeria. That policy will be made available. We're working on things like diaspora voting with parliament and popular work. So there are a lot of things. We've been working on the Diaspora Investment Summit, where we can deal with some of the challenges you've been talking about in businesses. And I'm glad that a lot of Nigerians are coming on to invest. The survey we put out there showed investment. They want to invest. 96% of Nigerians abroad want to invest at home. And the areas of concern, agriculture, healthcare, education, and small businesses that we have seen here. So it's a new commission. We're just 1 year old in office. I want to engage with you so that we pull our resources together. We can't be the best in the world, and we are the way we are. So what can we do? How can we harness what we have? Human capacity development. That is what Nigerian Diaspora Commission is about. So it's about working with you. It's about partnering with you. It's about working together to build the Nigerian dream. So each one of you, look at the talents you brought to the table. Ours will be to build on that, to work on the challenges and see how we can achieve results. And I believe we will, working together collectively. So again, the bill for the Diaspora Commission should be on our website. You can read through it. And we're here waiting for your own suggestions and possible solutions. For each one of you, there's a way you can assist. For each one of you, there's a way we can work together. So that will be the next level as we move from here. And I'm glad about the broad range of all of the participants here, touching on various sectors of human capacity development. So that's what NIGCOM is about. Now, people come to me, NIGCOM, sometimes they want NIGCOM to do everything. We try, but we can't do everything. Because they believe that we've done a few things in the past. So, but when you do come, we try, like the issue of passport, we will make that complaints to immigration. And we've been achieving results with you. So we are the bridge between you and God. When you have challenges, we come in and talk to the right person and set it up. We have desks in various ministries. We have a diaspora desk in the Ministry of Health. We have an EFCC. So for those of you who have issues of, they want to cheat me, talk to us. We'll talk to the desk officer. We also working on a housing policy for the diaspora. And I'm sure Isaac will be interested in that, where you can sit there and be able to get homes in Nigeria, working with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Because a lot of complaints come from, they cheated me. So working with people like Isaac, who's in the real estate business, how can you buy your homes from abroad without being cheated? So there's a diaspora medical city that will be built in Abuja soon. Because the government is also, working on big diaspora medical center of excellence will be done by the diaspora. So there's a whole lot we will be working with you, but the key thing is you are the commission. NIDCOM is there for you. Don't let's waste that opportunity. That's why we're having this conversation. Don't let's waste the opportunity. Let's do what we can. Like I said, Ireland, 1,000 Irish saved their country. You can do the same thing. China, India, Pakistan can talk about development within their diaspora. We have you. So we have to work with you to make this happen. Now, why won't you be able to do anything that was never in the Diaspora Commission? So no more excuses. No more excuses. Like I said, we give you various staff that will work with you, our social media handles. We are easy to communicate with. I think I'm one of the easiest, simplest heads of government agency that you can reach easily. So that is no excuse. So let's work together to build a great Nigeria. When you get old, I'm sure you want to retire to Nigeria. I'm telling you, Black Americans are beginning to have homes in Nigeria. I've been receiving them. They want to come home. They want to come to the motherland. We're not saying, like I said, pack your bags, but let's do something we'll all be proud of. We've had the Diaspora Bond. We've had the Diaspora Investment Summit. We're going to set up the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Fund, where you will be deciding what you want to invest in, where you want to put your money. All those things are coming on stream in the next couple of months as we go post-COVID-19. And then post-COVID-19, I think we also have to decide what we want for our country and continent. Again, that will be in your hands. There's a lot you can do as the younger generation of Nigerians. And we look forward to working with you. For me, I'm excited about this team. I will be doing this, I believe, on a monthly basis. And I'm focusing more on the younger generation of Nigerians. I mean, the older ones, will be there, but we need to focus on you. And we need to achieve results. So we're not here to waste that. We need to achieve results. And I also want you involved in politics in your country. But you're not going to do it by sitting there, by being involved. If you have an interest, do it. Use your power. You're telling everybody to vote in America. When it's time, tell them to vote in Nigeria. Use your vote. Your vote is your power. You can influence that decision by following what is going on and telling your people to get involved in the political process. So I'm glad to work with all of you, and we look forward to achieving results together. Thank you very much. I hope I answered your question.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. So you explained what the commission is. Well, can you talk about like specific things? We had a lot of questions coming about how the youth can actually get involved, like what exists today. I know you talked about social media presence and they can get in from there. There's
nothing. That's why we're talking to you. How do you want to get involved? So I'm pushing that back to all of you on this panel. That's why we have this. We're just starting. How do you want to get involved? In what field? For instance, Mr. Bath has told us doing field. So has Emmanuel. So has me in the. So has Bobby and everybody. Isaac, Neka, our guy in the Navy. So what do you want to do? So it's not about us telling you what to do. Let's work together. And your life is into developing public institutions. We link you up with the right person. You're into youth development. Let's work together. Jesse has made history. Is Jesse just going to sit in America and not make an impact? Jesse can easily train those guys you see on the street to be, to achieve, maybe not what you have achieved, but to make a success of their lives. We all can make a difference. So I'm asking you that, what do you want to do? And I'm saying that use us. We are the platform to make it happen. You have us. You have the commission. So no more excuses. Bring up your talents to bear. Spend some time back home, see what you can do, especially in giving back. You have young generation of Nigerians that will look up to you. So I'm putting that back to you. Now, this is a tag team now. Decide what you want to do. We are there to work with you and work for you for the benefit of our country.
Okay.
And there's also going to be a diaspora desk in the Ministry of Sports, in the Ministry of Youth. So every area has something for the diaspora. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yes. So I guess the mantle is on to the youth to come together and figure out the best way to engage with the agency. So before I ask the next question, so Jesse, real fast, I know there was somebody posted in here in the chat about some racing track or something going on in Nigeria, and they were, asking about possibility of doing some collaboration with you and all that. I don't know if you saw that, but maybe you can at least reach out to the person who asked that, and we can talk some more about that as well.
Yeah. So somebody had asked a question about basically for me to be able to engage with some of the growing car community in Nigeria. At the end of the day, I think cars and fast cars are loved by people all around the world. It's not just a US thing. It's not just a European thing. I think everyone. I think in Nigeria, it's slowly growing as different kind of cars are making its way to Nigeria. I think, you know, back before, you know, like my dad, he's a huge Mercedes fan. So I always thought when I was young that the only cars in Nigeria were Mercedes, and that was it, and like Toyota, and that was it. But I think the amount of cars and type of cars that are coming to Nigeria are growing. Different sports cars are starting to make their way out there and stuff. I think the community's starting to like it a little bit more. So I think he was mentioning if there's any way that I can engage with the growing car enthusiasts in Nigeria, and I would love to. I think everyone who's a participant, you know, on this panel, who's listening in, all the attendees, I mean, if you are, if you like cars, if you like racing at all, or if you have any kind of interest in it, or you have any kind of interest even being around it, you know, I think I put my social media handles in there, and you can find me on social media super easy. Literally, just type in my name that you see right here. Type in my name on any platform. Friend me, connect with me, whatever, and then send me a message. I answer all messages. It was funny. Somebody wrote a question on here saying, why don't you know, whoever or whatever agency like answer any emails? And I thought that was funny. I was like, man, that's crazy, because I get, you know, on just social media alone, I'll probably get anywhere from 30 to 60 messages a day, and I answer every single one of them. But so for those who are out there watching or listening in, send me a message. I will answer everything. If you got any questions, I'll engage with the community. If you know of any car clubs or any racing clubs or anything like that that's trying to grow, reach out to me. I'm here to try to help and try to facilitate and do what I can to help, at least from where I'm at. I'm in California, but I would love to find my way to Nigeria at some point and meet the car world and racing world out there.
Okay, cool.
Can I just, Jesse, when do you plan to come to Nigeria? And what are you doing about positively promoting the image of your country? And I'm also pushing this question to all of you so that you can answer them. When do you plan to come to your country? And what are you doing about improving the image of your country? And then post-COVID-19, what do you see for the continent and particularly for your country? And I'm posing this to all of you.
So plans to come to Nigeria, that's something I've been talking with my parents a lot, because we want to go as a family, not just me. So me, my dad, my mom, both my brothers, my sister's husband and child, all of us, we want to go together, because we haven't all been there together in a really long time. We've kind of been there separate, you know, here and there, but we need to go there together as a family, because, you know, my dad came over here as himself and then went back, married my mom, came back here, had a bunch of kids, and we all need to go back again together and just show people, hey, this is like, we are you, you know, we are you, and we are the Nigerian image here for, you know, the Wuji family in the US. So we want to go back together as a family. We're trying to coordinate that. As you know, we all have a lot of busy schedules. With me, I have 2 businesses that I'm running. You know, racing NASCAR. I'm still in the United States Navy, and I'm doing all that. And then, you know, both my brothers are working their, you know, jobs and doing that stuff and helping running the business stuff. My sister, she's a nurse. My mom's a nurse. Everyone's like in a million different, you know, directions. But that's still no excuse. We need to come together and figure out, okay, when can we all together, even if it's just a week, go to Nigeria and, you know, get to see people we haven't seen in a long time and see what we can do to help. I know just recently we've been trying to send money to our villages, our local villages there, because right now during the COVID-19 stuff, a lot of people haven't been able to work. They're not able to make any money. Landlords are coming to people's houses, knocking on the door saying, hey, where's my money? So at least for our local villages, me and my brothers, we've taken money out of this account and sent back to our villages out there to help people out, to see if that can help cover some of the expenses. And right now, that's one of the things we're doing. Other things we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out ways to, you know, with the internet, right? The internet's a very powerful source. Just because someone in Nigeria is not here in the U.S. doesn't mean they can't find a way to work here in the U.S. and do something for people here. So I think with all of us here on this panel, we all have different businesses. We all have different things that we're doing where we could use some virtual assistants maybe. There's the new thing that's really kind of getting a lot more popular nowadays is virtual assistants. Like there's so much talent in Nigeria that, you know, even though it might be tough to go through whatever visa process and this and travel bans, even though you can't physically travel somewhere, it doesn't mean you can't still work somewhere. So, I mean, right now we're all experiencing this whole work at home thing, and it's actually working out for a lot of businesses. So if we can figure out better ways to use the virtual assistance of all this talent we have in Nigeria, that would save people from having to actually come over here and they could get paid like they were in America. So I know I've been experimenting that with one of our family members who's in Nigeria, really talented guy. He's in school right now. I graduating in a year or so. But I've been having him virtually work for our business a little bit to help us out for different tasks, and I'm just slowly giving him more and more. But you know, trying to pay him like he's actually here. but he's still living in Nigeria, and I know the money here goes a long way over there.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah?
I'd like to jump in there also to answer the same question.
So we're gonna just like real fast. We just give a quick 30-second response, and then we'll go around and then get back to the honorable.
Yeah, I actually like Jesse's idea, and I've been thinking about that recently, that one way that we can help, because I have a lot of people that send me requests and so on and so forth. There's nothing better than if you're in Nigeria and you bring a package or a business idea that's ready to be funded. I think we'll be better encouraged to fund projects that are shovel ready or people that have talents and skills that we need. Like for me, I'm looking for someone to handle my social media who's really great in Nigeria with that, and I don't mind paying them for that. So I want people on the ground to begin to think about, rather than saying, hey, give me money, like what skills do you have? And I know there's so much talent in Nigeria that you can reach out to us constructively and give us your resume and say, you know what, we can do this for you X amount of hours and we can pay you. I think you will find anyone that's in the diaspora who'd be willing to do that, because sometimes we have those challenges here in America, figuring out talents who are willing to really work. And I know that Nigerians, we work. So I'm encouraging all the youth out there, package yourself, reach out to any one of us, and I'm sure we'd be happy to put you on a stipend or something. Thank you.
And just to add to what you and Jesse have said, we're actually coming up with a talent hunt, where you're going to ask them to show your skills. So again, it's something that my team is working on, and I think that is a good suggestion from both of you. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Bobby. Great initiative. Thank you. And again, just I don't want to forget, we have a COVID-19 Diaspora Support Fund. I'm going to send the link to you. All of you, please pay in something to that fund. We are raising money. We raised a few millions. What the diaspora will be doing is, they say they want to buy PPEs, particularly for headline workers. So that is going on. I ask you, nothing much, just putting your name on the whatever. I'll send everything to Obina to send to you. It's a diaspora fund for eradication of COVID-19 in Nigeria, support the healthcare workers at the front line, get them PPEs, and a few things we can do. So please, I want you to be part of it. A few millions have been raised that I think having your name on that will help. So thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Honorable. So, there's a million questions. Questions are coming in. I have like 4 pages of questions here, but I think we just go through, guys. I'm just going to take the Honorable's question for each of the panelists. So please, 30 seconds, just give a quick response.
Yeah, but they can also answer questions that have been dedicated to them so that we can.
Yes, they are. They're answering through the chat. They're answering through the chat.
Okay.
I just wanted to give them a chance.
I'm still not. I'm still old school. All that actually because I don't have to do it.
So Joyce, okay, go ahead, Joyce.
Okay.
Real fast.
Oh, thank you, thank you, ma'am. I would like to say a very big thank you to Obina. And 2018. I went to 2018. I was in Nigeria, and I had a meeting with one of the foreign affairs here in the UK, and we discussed about farming. And they were interested in coming to Nigeria to set up a farm and also the preservation center, because in Nigeria, a lot of, if you go to the north, like I'm into exports, I've been into exports for over 6 years, and you get a lot of perishable products, and to help those farmers, to give them more advantage of their farming, of their hard work, because after 3 or 4 weeks of their product, most of their product will perish. So we went to Nigeria, we had a meeting with the governor in Edo State and a few other states, and till today, they've not got back to us. I have one of the letters, I sent it to Obina recently and said, look at this. These guys are willing to come to Nigeria. They want to bring their equipment to Nigeria. Most of them are Nigeria. We are 10 in the team, and 8 are Nigerians, 4 born in the UK and never been to Nigeria. We all traveled to Nigeria 2018, February 10. And we had meeting with the former governor, the recent governor of Edo State. We went to Abuja. We had meetings with so many other people, but still there was no response. Ma'am, I want to use this opportunity to say, please, I would like to bring this up again, because my team already, they are losing hope. Like, hey, Joyce, you said this will be possible, we can do it. Because in Kenya, when we set up something like that in Kenya, and it's going very well. Now Kenya have started exporting products, including flowers, to UK on every week.
Okay.
It gets to the UK every week. So I want us to do something like that because it's very, very good, especially with the preservation and the farming. Thank you.
So why don't you get in touch with me and we'll talk more on how to do things about linking with the right person. I think that's brilliant.
Okay.
And that is being
Thank
done
you.
actually. So I will get
Okay.
more information about it. Thank you.
I will, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So let's just go through real fast, guys. So Isaac, can you just jump in here quickly?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So the last time I was in Nigeria has been a few years. But my dad and my brother were there in November representing our company through different partnerships with different ministers. For myself, there's 3 areas that we're trying to push post-COVID. The first one is trying to create a platform for the diaspora to be able to buy real estate in Nigeria, and then create a platform for Nigerians to be able to buy real estate here in Toronto and Canada. Especially, there's a lot of international students that are from Nigeria. So we're in the process of creating housing around that, so that the parents could feel free and safe that their kids are in a well-secured property right by the university. So that's the first area. The second area is through our partnership with Ryerson University, with the Black Tech Incubator. We're looking for a university in Nigeria to create the same program. So for young entrepreneurs in technology, they'll be able to gain access to the #1 tech incubator in North America for incubating bright ideas. And as we know, technology is the future of growth for any country and any community. So that's what we're doing on the business side. And on the foundation side, through our partnership with Sick Kid Hospital, we've already hired a Nigerian doctor that's going to be working for 2 years at the hospital to learn the best practices around sickle cell. And then the last year, we're going to incorporate a health tech company so that we could take those best practices and collaborate with a hospital in Nigeria when it comes to research and around sickle cell.
So how far have you gone with the first project you talked about? How far have you gone?
We've reached out to a few banks. I know when my dad was there in November, he connected with a few MDs. We're still waiting to hear back from some of the banks because I believe there's a lot of individuals from the diaspora that wants to buy in Nigeria. They just want to make sure that it's a streamlined process. And the same thing, there's a lot of individuals from Nigeria that want to invest and buy in Canada. And we're trying to tell them that they now have one of their own that's a developer and builder in Toronto and in Canada that can help streamline that whole process. So any help in connecting with the banks that want to create that program, we'll love that idea.
Okay, again, we'll follow up on that and see, whatever we can do. We'll follow up with all what you said you're talking about. That's part of why we're having this. So we'll talk more about that later and link you with the appropriate person. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, Isaac, for that. Yeah, so incredible opportunities coming out here. I didn't take notes because I think some of these I need to jump onto myself. So I know I wanted to go through all the panelists, but just for the interest of time, please hold on, panelists. I'll come back to you. So, Honorable, let me just ask you some more questions. I know people were on here too for questions. So one big question that's come up is repatriation. There are a lot of Nigerians stuck around the world, right? So people are just asking, what's the schedule for getting people out? We're getting people from asking from Gabon, from Ghana, different parts of the world, right? So if you can just quickly give us a summary as to, I know it's not really your department, but at least as much as you know.
We helped in compiling the names. We have over 4,000 Nigerians talking about 75 countries all over.
In how many countries?
75.
Wow.
So the coming has to be done in batches because of the NCDC protocol that says that they must stay 14-day quarantine. Now, the very first UAE, those who came from UAE have done their 14 days, so the hotel will not be free. Those from the UK completed their 14 days today. A lot of them will be going to their various homes tomorrow. In fact, the UK test came out. I think all of them were negative. 3 are being awaited, were inconclusive. So another step will be coming in. We got some that just came from Ghana. So it's in stages. But what I tell all of them there is liaise with the missions over there. if in Australia, for instance, there are 6 people that want to come back, you can't charter a plane for 6 people. But you can find ways of getting somewhere to somewhere. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs gives the final instruction with the mission. So I know we have quite a large number in China, India. India is processing coming. Canada, there was a challenge with the air flight. So each mission is handling it, but the assurance that everybody will come back. It's taking a while as we get complaints all the time, but it's a pandemic. It's an unusual situation, but Nigerians will come back to their country. Already, I think we've received about 669 or something. Another batch will be coming in next week. We got in, some came in from Togo, I think just yesterday. So they're coming in batches. If it was possible, everybody at the same time, but you have to do your 14-day quarantine, and it has to be somewhere NCDC verified. So it's a tough one. We have Thailand, and then there are some countries that I'll tell you, this want to use the opportunity, just pack away Nigerians who are illegal immigrants in their country. We also have to ensure that we don't just allow some people to use that as an opportunity. So Nigerians who are Australia will be back home. Quite a large number, China, particularly India and all those places. But the minister has the final say, but work is being done on it. And by next week, I'm sure we'll have more coming.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. So the next question I want to ask is, around representation. So there are a couple of questions that have come in around representation. People are saying, we need NITCOM, or we need better representation in Ukraine, in Scotland, and some other parts of the world. So, I mean, how does your office handle that? And, what are the plans? What's on ground today? And if it doesn't exist today, what can people actually do when they have issues?
I think there's, number one, you have missions in quite a number of countries. So that is representation. In every mission, you have a diaspora desk officer. Again, on our website, we'll give the names. There's going to be a change in ambassadors very soon. There are 42 more whose names are going to Parliament. So you have all that on our website. So and then learn to communicate with your mission. If you go there and they say they don't listen to you or root to you, then let us know. But the first thing is even go there. A lot of people don't even bother. And in case where you bothered, you got results. So the missions are representations in the first place. We work with missions. So where there are no missions, like there's a place, Northern Cyprus, we don't have a mission there, but it's not even a UN recognized country. That's one place where they kill Nigerians like chickens. But when the problem comes to us, there's nobody to talk to there. And we keep saying, please don't go to some of these countries. So we keep educating on that. And then we're going to open the door for volunteers. You can volunteer to do something for the commission, your area of residence. That is also coming up soon. So there is representation. However, where you want more representation, like we heard here, Houston is where you have the largest number of representation of Nigerians. There should be a place you can walk on to, rather than fly to Atlanta to get your passport. So all those things are being looked at. So if you have more specifics, like Sweden, even on your show tonight, I've heard a lot of complaints about Sweden and getting their passports. So we'll take that up with immigration and see what is the challenge and what can be done. So give us the specifics, we deal with them. So yes, there should be representation everywhere. We'll grow to as many places as we can, particularly to the younger generation. And that's why people like you, Bob Bruce, who has the youngest Nigerian Diaspora organization in New York, encourage that in other parts of the world. Don't wait for government, encourage that, and then come to us and say, this is the association, we work with you. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. So you talked about, like people should, there's a lot of complaints about the missions, and you're saying people need to just at least go, and then if there are issues, they should get back to your agency, and then you can follow up. But one of the concerns that people get is that when they typically follow up, then they don't, it gets lost, right? So there's no feedback loop, right? So what's the best way?
Before.
Okay.
There was no feedback loop. There is now. Can you share? Let me see if I can get all those. Look, sometimes we receive 100 petitions a day. We have a legal team. Some we can solve, some we can't. The reasonable ones we can solve. There are some that that person, there's something you can do. So before the end of the day, let me get you the addresses to send all those information to. So we do deal with this petition, but we might not resolve them. We handle, it's coming from the diaspora, which is the right agency. Like even the one with immigration, that's why we now have an immigration attaché in the commission. So we do get them. It's a new agency, so people should get to understand that, yes. And then we want you as volunteers. So you don't have to, and then there are 26 SSAs on diaspora. 32 in every state. We'll share their links with you. So My brother from Plateau said, you can link your SSA Diaspora in Plateau directly. So there's somebody to talk to. Joyce, who has a small business in a state, you can link your diaspora person with the governor. So we are decentralizing. That's not what I'm saying. Emmanuel, who has a think tank, wants to do something in their state, you have somebody to talk to at the state level. You understand what I'm saying? So we'll share all that information. So we need to do more information sharing. And Yola might want to build capacity in a particular state. You let us know, we link you with the person in that state. Even the issue of trafficking, we've been working with the states. When they come to us, we are not NAPTIP, we're not agency for trafficking, but we work with the agency and then link you with the right person. So again, we're decentralizing and more information will be shared as we move on. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So definitely, so we'll share a lot of the information in the post-event email that will be going out, and subsequent emails. You know, you get a lot of information. So I'm going to quickly, just for the interest of time, I'll summarize a lot of these questions. So I'll just jump to business, right, and just talk about business. So there are a lot of questions here around business, and a lot of people are asking about what's being done to make Nigeria more attractive for people outside who want to invest in business.
The ease of doing business is getting better. Nigeria is doing well in that regard, so that you can ease all those frustrations and challenges. And just a few days ago, we got some research that said more Nigeria is becoming a destination for businesses. You know, our bonds are high and all that. And then there might be a diaspora bond sometime in the new year, which I hope you'll all get into. So yes, the ease of doing business is getting better. Yeah, there are challenges. Even now, you can register online, Corporate Affairs Commission. Again, with Corporate Affairs Commission, we're working with them directly. So what I just said to you is that we want investors in Nigeria, but we insist that you should be the first line of investors that should be investing in your country. And that is why everywhere the president goes, he reaches out to Nigerians in the diaspora. This is the opportunity. We are there to help you navigate the challenge. They are there. I can't present their number. If I arrive from the airport, you start witnessing the challenges. So let's be specific, as we have heard here. What are the specifics? You get in touch with us, we see what we can do with that. And I believe we've been doing quite a bit in that regard. And then we open a frequently asked questions. We're going to, find out what are the real, things. Again, the issue of number one thing is, oh, we can't get our visa. Now you have visa on arrival. You don't need to disturb yourselves, So there are quite a few things that are in the pipeline and that have been done that will ease doing business in Nigeria. And then there's also some little things, Bank of Industry, we have a diaspora thing with Bank of Industry where you have a small business, you can have a loan. All those things will be introducing to you via our website and other platforms so that you can find ways. For instance, CBN has opened the door for agriculture, and I hope some of you have tapped into it. Just go on the CBN website. If you know it's something you want to do, why not? And where you have challenges, let us know. So there are quite a few things that and then again, like I said, your suggestions are listening. And you're like, we'll be harassing you since you are home in Nigeria for us to do a lot more. And you're like, especially about building institutions.
Okay.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome, Honorable.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ma, for that. For everyone, so the conversation going on in the chat, so you can jump in. One great idea that just popped up is someone mentioned having a unified project that's put together, by the panelists and all that, so that the diaspora can actually focus on that with their investment. So I think there's some meat around that, and we need to figure out a way to, start fleshing some of that out. I think the diaspora will be more comfortable if it's something from the diaspora going into Nigeria that they can participate.
I agree. Actually, I told you we're going to have a diaspora investment fund where you will decide what you want to do. You will decide, and it can start with this group, where you can say, okay, we want to invest, we want to do this, and I'm telling you it's going to succeed. But like I said, I'm putting that challenge back to you. So I like that suggestion. You can start with you. Bobby is there, he has is head of an organization. So we are here to help you with the logistics. I use the opportunity, and you'll be proud you did. I'm telling you. Some of them are already doing it are not complaining. So yeah, I think it's a good suggestion. We work within that regard. And I hope that after this, we are like a group where we can communicate further, increase the group, and see what we're coming up. In another 1 year, I want to say, this group, this is what we have achieved, this is what we have done. So, deal? I hope that's a deal.
Yeah.
I'm with that, definitely.
Okay.
I'm with that.
Yeah, because for me, what I wanted to ask, I said, after this, what next? Because I'm all about what next. I don't want us to stop here. So it's all good when we talk about this, but what is the after action? So it would be a great thing to have an after action.
Okay. So I'm waiting for you. You have the after action. I believe that after this, you get together and give me your after action, and then we're going to make it happen. So I'm waiting for you for the after action. And I said, in the next 1 year, we should be sitting together and say, this is what we have achieved. This is what you have achieved. So you have the after action. We are here to make it happen.
Obina, you are in charge.
Yeah, I second that. I second that. Obina, you have to make sure that you get us together, get us back together.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. You know, definitely we don't want this to be just a conversation. So we'll definitely figure out.
Can I quickly
and then, sorry, before you also finish, somebody is asking me here. The issue of trafficking, I don't want to forget, it's not the job of Diaspora Commission. Trafficking, we have a lot of people. There's an organization called NAPTIP that's responsible for trafficking. But however, you can't come to us and say, oh, you are stuck in one country or the other, and we don't help out. So we help out, but we don't solve trafficking. Trafficking, you need to get the trafficker. For instance, you traffic somebody to Oman or to Lebanon. It's not enough to get the person back. Who did it? That person has to be arrested, traced, named, and shamed. So a lot of questions in that regard here. Diaspora, if a diaspora is you, a diaspora is somebody who is living legally in another country, pays tax, has a home, has an address, and is legitimately working. However, there are some who don't qualify with that regard, have challenges that we try to intervene. For instance, you're in prison, you get into trouble, we help you out, if we can. So let's just get that right, because there are many questions about trafficking. Yes, we help out. Because when you are in distress, President said help out, but we are not primarily responsible for that, just to clear that picture. But we continue to help out as a commission, wherever in Nigeria. We brought back many Nigerians who have been in distress and trouble, but it's not our primary responsibility to arrest traffickers and all that. Thank you. Dr. Pat, that's your baby?
Yes.
Obina,
Yeah.
can I quickly say a few things?
Okay, yes, and please, real fast, so we can go.
Okay. Well, Honorable Abike Dabiri, I'm very passionate about the Nigerian image in the diaspora, which is one. And number two, unity of Nigerians in the diaspora is also something I take very serious. In the future going forward, is there a plan where the Diaspora Commission would probably have a kind of unifying organization that the diaspora deals with? Because now you are talking about in terms of what do you call it? Knowing Nigerians staying outside and censors and things like that. How do you want to achieve that? Is the Diaspora Commission looking at bringing up an association, a Nigerian association, unifying Nigerian association that the Diaspora Commission will deal with? That is one. Number two, I've also seen that over the years, Nigeria as a government has never come out to do a PR on the Nigerian image in the diaspora. I have a project I'm currently working on, which I feel will be very beneficial. We need to do a lot of PR in terms of our image in the diaspora all over the world, which is very, very important. So I don't know how we can do with those two.
Yeah, sure. You already do your bid promoting image. You are all image makers. You are the #1 ambassadors of the country. So like I said, we work with you. And in terms of having a diaspora, we're going to have a stakeholders meeting or a stakeholders workshop that will involve the Parliament, the House of Representatives Committee on Diaspora, the Senate Committee on Diaspora, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, where we'll actually come up with a roadmap of how to engage. There's a NIDO, which Bobby has there. He knows that there are many challenges, fighting here and there, 2 factions, 3 factions, 4 factions. How can we sit together in one room and say we're all Nigerians and we work under one umbrella? And the idea is progress. You are a group on your own. You can form yourself into a formidable group and you come up with results. So we work on that. But like I said earlier, my energy is not in setting quarrels. I said I'm not starting by setting quarrels. I want to reach out individually, collectively, and we're beginning to do that. And we're reaching out people like you. So yes, we'll move to that, where you will tell us how you want to be guided in terms of diaspora engagement. So we're going to be doing that. I will make it comprehensive. It's not going to be decided by NIGHTCOM. All stakeholders will be part of it. So yeah, thank you. You're all image makers of the country, and we continue to work at that. But everybody's an ambassador. Be the number one ambassador of your country. And like I said, we'll be celebrating you and let the world know that this is who we are. We have the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the good is the Nigerian. You know, so we need to celebrate ourselves, and we are doing that on our own, and also we work with you to do that. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, thank you for that, and thank you, Nee, for bringing that up. So, guys, this is pushing on. We're past the 2-hour mark, and it's still going. I still haven't addressed a lot.
I haven't broken my fast.
So apologies if we don't get to the questions. There are tons of questions, but I'm going to extract a commitment. If we need you to come back and address questions again, I'm going to ask for your commitment to that we can get you back to.
No, absolutely. And like I said, we'll be doing this. We'll plan to do this once a month. And then you can also send your questions by email. We are still answering questions from the last one we did. So let the questions come. You have the email. And so send the questions by email. We'll answer them and take as much as. And like I said, we'll make this a very regular occurrence. But each team, this is going to be my flag. What word do we give this team now? Let's give us a name.
The future is now.
The future. Okay, so so the future is now, and we must.
I second that, Bobby. Yeah,
okay.
The future is now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Great. So some things that are popping. I'm just going to try and push things so we can wrap up. 1:30, and then
so just a minute. You can let me quickly give you an admin@nidcom.gov.ng for those who want the questions. Admin@nidcom.gov.ng. Then we have some numbers, emergency numbers. Plus 1234 2222161. Then plus 1888 644 2372. Obida, you can share so that those are emergency numbers. Contact us anytime to deal with your problem. We have an AI chat bot. I don't know the details there. I'll send it out there. 24/7, we're there to answer your questions. So, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So great ideas coming out from here. I think even, for the audience, there's a lot of opportunities. I hope people heard the panelists saying, they are willing to support people in Nigeria that have skills. So if you have your skills, you can do stuff. We need to find a way for everybody to be able to share their information so that people can look into it, or actually have visibility, and then reach out to those that they're interested in. So great ideas here. We just figure out a way to.
And please donate to the COVID-19 Diaspora Relief Fund. Please, nothing is too small. Just let your names be there. COVID-19 Diaspora Relief Fund. So Obina will send to everybody. Nothing is too small. Please. Thank you. Right. Isaac will donate the house. Isolation center.
Yes, absolutely.
Jesse will give us a 2 Mercedes car. Take me. Thank you. I love you all. You're all just so amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have to go, or do you just have some minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. No, we'll keep going. So we'll just keep going. So some questions in here, guys, on the chat. I
want to hear more from all the panelists. I hope the questions are
okay. But let me just ask some questions so that at least people get their questions. So someone's asking real fast about if you have attaches, assistants who record these ideas and then channel them to the appropriate ministries and agencies so that they're practicalized.
Absolutely, we do. And then, like I said, most agencies will have a diaspora desk officer. And already in the commission, they are broken out into various departments. So, like I said, anything about EFCC goes somewhere. So yes, we do have. So as you send those notes, it goes to somebody who replies you directly.
No. Okay, great. Okay, and then someone's just asking, has been asking for about the space center. I guess he's into the satellite thing and is asking for the details of the space center. Yeah. Go ahead.
Please give the person my email. We have a space research agency. So whatever you want to know, we'll have to find out from them. But we do have a space research agency, and we need to know what exactly you want about the space center. We need to build the space center. So send me an email and give me a specific question. I can link you with the officials of the center.
Okay. All right. So real fast, and then we'll jump to the panelists. So another question here is, how can we establish a body/mentor program that will pair aspiring youth in Nigeria with young adults in the diaspora to encourage them and mentor
How
them.
can you do what?
Establish a body mentor program. So basically, you know, a mentorship program, right, for people in Nigeria, right, to, you know, engage with the diaspora, especially now where you have Zoom and people are more comfortable with video conferencing and all that. So I think the questions around how is there a way to create something that's more.
Yeah, in fact, you just touched on something a group are already doing, and I think she's been trying to speak actually. If you can check, I don't know whether I can get Atina Olarewaju. If you are there, they have a thing called Doing Good Work in Africa initiative, which is actually providing a platform for this mentorship between Nigerians at home and Nigerians abroad. I don't know whether she can get online, but if
she's
she
here.
is, okay, maybe can you say something about what you're doing, which is particularly to this? It's called Doing Good Work in Africa initiative. So that is that platform that the person is asking for. So like we said, we just provide the platform, make it happen, and then bring everybody together. Larry, if you can say something. Or is she going to type?
Yeah, she can. I guess, yeah, we just let her put the information in the chat to everyone, and then we'll come back to it.
Okay.
Okay. And then
so, and then if the person wants more, but then that's a superb mentoring program that I think is very
okay. All right. So so again, for everybody out there, I won't be able to get to the specific questions. We're running out of time. So one of the things that at least bubbles up for the diaspora, the concern is around, you know, what's going on in Nigeria, right? A lot of people get concerned about, you know, security, right? Governance, corruption, and all that. So I guess just a quick overview around, you know, how that should be handled, how it's being addressed, what people should do about their concerns.
Well, we're all concerned, but dare to venture, dare to succeed. You know, we're going through a process. Democracy is surviving. You have a president who is tackling corruption, dealing with the economy, and says he wants and tackling insecurity. So, you know, I was in America for the Nigerian American Business Forum some time ago in Tampa, Florida. There was this powerful American speaker. We said, listen, we know there are challenges in Nigeria, but that is why we want to come there. We're not coming there and say it's a perfect El Dorado. So we know there are challenges and we're dealing with those challenges. And that's why you have a major role to play. Fine, you come in here, there's no 24 electricity, there's no water and all that, but what can we do about it? You, on the other hand, how can we club together? So we can't pretend that there are no challenges. And then when I come to America, I do get scared too. I just feel like somebody's going to come with a gun and shoot. I mean, the last time my first experience in Bronx, I was actually there and it was, I don't know what it was, but I went under my friend's table. I thought it was, because everything is about gunshot. So, you know, there's insecurity everywhere. It's about how you promote your country and the image of your country. Neye is there in South Africa. He knows the crime rate in South Africa, but tourists are trooping there because of what they put out on television, because of what you see as the image. He knows, you know? So it's about how we project ourselves, and let's stop talking down on our country and ourselves. I was in Ethiopia and I was shocked when those other Africans came to me and said, Nigeria, you're the America of Africa. You know, so don't let's start talking about ourselves. We have challenges, we'll solve them together. President Buhari will do his bit, live in 2023. We vote for another set of leaders. Are you holding your leaders accountable and responsible, or just sitting down and criticizing without doing anything? You know, so let's do our own bit. As Mother Teresa said, throw your own pebbles in the river and create your own ripples, positive ripples. So we're not saying it's a perfect situation, but we're all in this together. What can you do? What can I do to make Nigeria a better place? Nobody will develop our country but ourselves, let's face it. So if you are the best wherever you are and it's not impacting at home, I think it's shame on all of us. And that is the challenge that will throw right back at you. So let's do what we can to overcome this barrier. We can't be who we are. Oh, we are the best in this and we're the best in that. We are the best, particularly in human capacity development. And we need to make use of that. It's not about President Buhari, it's not about those, it's about all of us. Say that we want a difference and we will make that difference happen. You are in developed parts of the world, you know how you do your things. Let it impact your own country. I think that's the way I'll answer that question. It's work in progress, but that progress must happen in our lifetime. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. So I think Tina just responded. You know, she said they launched a pilot program. Hold on, get that here. I think the large pilot program that's connecting about 30 students from Harvard and some other universities. You know, so
anyway, I think we'll get to talk more about that, but there's something in the pipeline. But then who asked that question again? Okay, if you think you have your suggestions to make, let's have it so that we come up with something holistic and but it's a key part of what we think we need to mentor.
Okay, all right, great. So I know there's a question around, you know, how people can connect and move this forward. We'll definitely put our heads together, sit with the panelists, and we'll come up with some ideas on the best way to do this. And we'll definitely make sure that everybody who signed up for this will at least get information on what the next steps will be. This will not just be a conversation that ends here. You know, like Honorable said, it is something that will progress. I will make sure that, you know, she holds us accountable and we hold her accountable as well. Honorable, you had said you want to get to the panelists, so I'm going to let you, you know, ask them the questions or guide the conversation.
No, I just said maybe they have a closing statement.
Okay.
A closing statement on the future. What did you call this? The future is now. Did you?
The future is now.
So maybe some closing remarks from everybody before we round up.
Yeah, I would just like to chime in really quickly. Yeah, so I mean, if the future is now, my biggest thing now is just about communication about that next platform. You know, how we take over 200 people who have joined today and make sure that, you know, questions don't go unheard, that everybody is able to kind of come together. And, you know, I've seen some questions that I can answer, that I've sent direct messages to a couple of people in the chat. I mean, all of our panelists seem to be very helpful. I think they're very helpful and insightful, and they can offer help in some capacities. So it's just like, how do we all kind of get together in communication? What's that next platform? Is it WhatsApp? Is it a Facebook group? How do we make sure that we're all helping one another, but then all marching towards that, you know, bigger mission, that big goal of, you know, bettering our country. Obina, I know it's a big task. I mean, I know it's a big thing to offer. I'm here to help as well. But, you know, I'm just trying to figure out what that next direction of communication is. Where can I hope to hear from all of you guys again?
I think we can start with having a WhatsApp group. Along with, anyway, I'll leave that to you. Just tell me what you're doing and I'm here.
I want to piggy.
We'll discuss more about that.
Yeah, so let me just say I'll take the lead on it and I'll reach out to everyone and then we'll put our heads together and then get back to you on at least what the initial first step will be. But we definitely will not let this die here.
I think a Facebook group would be a really good idea to have. That'd be a lot easier, I think, on everyone, so people can go in and post questions and everyone kind of see what's going on, and it's not like blowing people's up. You know, I'm sure we here probably have 1 million calls, 1 million texts that come through already, and we want to help everybody. And there's a lot of participants in here. The Facebook group would be perfect, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I just piggybacking off of Emmanuel and Jesse. I think that along with the Facebook group, there is no reason why Obina, you and Lead, that we cannot have like a monthly Zoom call so that we can identify the low-hanging fruits. I'm particularly interested, you know, I'm with my group, my chapter, and my Secretary General, who's in Nigeria right now. Shout out to Benga. He's a developer. He's one of the youngest minority Black-owned contractors in New York. And he's actually building in Nigeria already. So we are very interested in actionable items. So I think collectively, if monthly we're on a Zoom call and we can streamline a few small, you know, low-hanging fruits, and we begin to chip in, we'll build capacity from there. So I'm volunteering to be involved with that. We'll be in a wonderful job. I just want to share two items real quick. One is, so I'm doing a compassionate system initiative at MIT right now. It's a master certification program. I actually graduate in July. And along with what the honorable, and I forgot who earlier, so MIT and a few institutions in America are looking to anchor with different institutions in Nigeria. I'm involved with those organizations. So I think it's a great idea that we begin to marry those. Two things I want to share. The iceberg is a formula that you can use to problem solve. An iceberg, we always know that we see the tip of the iceberg initially, right? And always the iceberg goes deeper. As it goes deeper, there's more going on. So we can use that formula with addressing issues with Nigeria. Anything that happens as an event, let's take the time to study and go deeper on the iceberg. Another thing is a ladder of inference. Look it up, you can Google these things. It's called the iceberg and the ladder of inference. I think when we begin to use best practices and evidence-based, that we'll find that problem solving isn't that complicated. So I just wanted to share that and leave everybody. Peace and love, everybody. I appreciate you all.
All right. Thank you, guys. So
right. If I could just, can I speak quickly? Okay. So I just want to say, great job, everyone. I'm so glad with the people and the quality of work that everyone is doing. And I also volunteered to be a part of, you know, whatever group that we're going to form. I could be like our Nigeria rep or whatever it is that you want to know about how to get things done in Nigeria. And while we work on best practices around the world, developing strategies that could work for our people here, I just wanted to add that we should remember to try and put it in the context of, you know, Nigeria. Personally, I'm really passionate about seeing young people at decision-making tables, because most of the time, I'm usually the only young woman in the room. Maybe the other young woman is serving tea or directing people to the restroom or just handing out paper, which is also good. It's a step, it's a start, but we need to see how we could get more young people into leadership. Here in Nigeria, I can tell each and every one of us categorically that it's looking like we are losing our young people, but I'm hoping that that's not what's going to, you know, what it's going to be at the end of the day, because there's a lot of apathy around so many things going on. The economy, entrepreneurship, a lot of people, especially with COVID-19, a lot of people are down, and we need to develop ways and measures to bring our young people up. Now, we at NAS Action have developed some strategies, and we have volunteers who work with us to try and mentor young people and get people into the right mindset. And that's part of what we can bring to the table. Work with young women and men. We try to get them engaged in politics, in, you know, institutional change, while getting them involved in entertainment. I personally do acting and modeling in Nollywood as well, and also social entrepreneurship. So they bring on their skills, they get trained, but it's a lot of work. There are not enough NGOs, there are not enough people doing things for our young people in Nigeria. So part of what I want our focus to be on as Nigerian youth in diaspora who have gained exposure to, you know, where things work and how to get things done properly, is to factor in our young people in Nigeria. Because to build the nation, you have to also build your youth. They are the ones who can make whatever you're doing sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So, Joyce, we're going to just jump to you so we can at least hear your, you give us some few words. But before we do that, I know somebody just asked in the chat to give a shout out to Nigeria. I said, oh, Eniola is in Nigeria and she's on a Zoom call and it's not buffering. We're not hearing anything.
Exactly. It's not as bad as we make it look.
Shout out to Nigeria's telecoms, you know.
Yay. And then
so anyway, so yeah, so Joyce, let's just give us a few words as well, and then your own thoughts. I think your phone is probably close to the. Is your phone close to the?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Ahead. Okay.
So, God, I'm having issues with my.
We can hear you. We can see you.
Okay. So I would like to say thank you, and Eniola, thank you very much. I would like to work with you, especially in the trying to support our youth. I'm very interested, and I've been looking for a way to set up something like that to give back to the youth and to support. And I've done some privately on my own. So far, right now, I have about 36 children supporting in school. and in the real area, like education-wise. And I had a program in France when I was in France because they support a lot of NGOs. So I used to take products and work with the company. Like the project I started January before the COVID-19 was, I had a meeting with, what's it called? Sorry, what's their name again? Here in the UK, Amazon. So they have some of their product that's kind of will be useful to support, and they are willing. We just started the program and COVID came in. I wanted to start a program where what they're going to support us with is to support the youth in Nigeria, especially in the area of education, because I know that education is the key. I moved back to the UK because of my daughter. She's 15 and she's doing her A-level. So for me, I'm supposed to be in Nigeria right now, but I need to make this sacrifice for my daughter because I know how it is here. The risk, I don't want to expose her to, at the age of 15, to be in a hostel. I know she will be safe, but as a mother, I want to be there for her until she's 23. So I'm just here with my one leg here, one leg in Nigeria for the next 5 years. After 5 years, I'm moving back to Nigeria finally, because I have a plan to go into agriculture. I have a plan to go into the preservation program where our food can be safe, and our food, we can make a lot of money from it, even export, or let's reduce the importation, a lot of exportation. I've been into export for like 7 years. Yes, there's a lot of challenges, but I don't believe in, if you have stayed in Holland, you will know that there's a huge block for a Black person to go to school there and to become anything, because they want to support you, they want to give you food until you die. You are allowed to eat, they give you your monthly allowance, you don't stress for anything. So it's very hard for Nigerians to come out of there and say, oh, I want to fight something for myself. But when I got there, I said, no, this is not the life I want to live, because I've seen people that have lived there for 20-something years, and the level of their way of thinking, I'm not going back home, there is life, there's this. I said, if all of us are going to stay back here, who is going to fix that home? Exactly. And the challenges I went through going to school in Holland, the discrimination was too much that I could not stand my children fighting that same fight in school, because it was too much for me. I was strong enough to overcome, but I don't know the strength of my children. So they went to private school in Holland, from private school to Nigeria. So I really want to, because my first daughter now, she's doing medicine, and she wants to go back to Nigeria and give back to Nigeria. I was so happy. After staying 3 years in Nigeria, right now she's in Nigeria, she's coming in after the COVID lockdown, she'll be coming back to start her A-level. And the love she has for Nigeria after this discrimination back here in Holland, where they tell her, you can't be a doctor, you can only be a conductor. There is no, in fact, here in England, it's possible. You have opportunity. In America, you have opportunity. But in place where I grew up, in Holland, I went to Holland when I was 13. It's not possible for a Black man, a Black child, to become anything useful.
Okay.
Before you turn the age of 13, 14, you are knocked down. So I'm very happy to be in this platform. I want to work with you, Eniola. I want to work with everyone here. I want to support the youth. I want to give back to the society. And with the little I've started so far, I want to work with agriculture program where the UK want us to export so many foods to the UK, especially the flowers. They set up the whole project already, but we didn't have the right people to work with. I'm so happy to be here, to be able to bring this up here so that Honorable Abike can help us to take this to the right place. Thank you very much, Obina.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Okay, so let's join. I think Isaac's there, so if we can just quickly hear from Isaac so we can wrap up. Isaac, are you there? What's that? Oh,
No,
sorry.
Sorry about that. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so we're just wrapping up. I think the consensus here is a couple of ideas. I think you dropped off. A couple of ideas have been bubbling up, and we're just trying to think about next steps. You know, it seems like we're definitely going to move this forward. And we're just, you know, people are committing to moving it forward and holding ourselves and the agency accountable. So just like to hear your own thoughts on that as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it's the key word is collaboration, and the good thing that we've shown that there's enough individuals in the diaspora that wants to work together, collaborate together. I know here in Toronto and in Canada we have the NCBN with Wale from Ottawa that's been able to put together individuals within the Canadian diaspora that wants to give back. I heard earlier about the mentorship programs. So I think if we could get an idea from the agency how we could organize our like minds, there's a lot of resources that we could then bring down to the Nigerian community as a whole. So we're excited here at Dreammaker to be able to partake in that.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah, thank you for that, Isaac. So, so I think someone just mentioned in the chat about the participants. So yes, even though we are discussing with the panelists here, the goal is to get everybody that registered for this involved. So there will be communication coming out to everybody and giving you more information about how we're moving this forward and giving you the opportunity to participate. Okay.
And can I just say something very important here?
Okay.
The key thing is for every one of you, like, did you talk about somebody being here? We need to document everything you're doing. It could be one thing and your life doing, one thing Joyce is doing, one thing Bart is doing, one thing Jesse is doing. Documentation with the commission is very important. So at the end of the day, we're having a pool of what the diaspora is doing. So that's part of why this group is very important. So at the end of the day, we want to document your projects individually, collectively, to have a pool of data and say this is what the diaspora is doing. So that is very important as we move on.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for that. Yes, so we definitely will do that. Make sure that everything is structured properly, because again, we want to come to you professionally, so that we can also expect professionalism from the agency as well. Dr. Bart, we'll just jump to you and we'll just wrap this up so that Honorable can go break our fast.
Yeah, I just want to say I really appreciate the fact that I'm here today, and thank you, Obinna, for inviting me. I was just trying to address Eniola. I don't know if she's still here, but I really like what you're doing.
I'm here.
Yeah, okay. I really appreciate and like what you're doing. As someone that is involved in policy and policy processes, I'm also worried about our young kids, especially back home. As I said earlier, I grew up in Jos. Actually, I grew up in Tudunwada in Jos. And one of the biggest problems we have is alcoholism and drug addiction. So there's a way that we can collaborate to find a lasting problem or lasting solution to this problem. That would be great. So definitely let's connect and see what we can do. So, in a nutshell, thank you, and I really appreciate the panelists. Honorable Dabiri, I hope that we will connect pretty soon, and I love the platform, and I'm also committed to moving this group forward.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dabiri.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that. So we're at the end of the session. I mean, we've gone way over. So I apologize, because I know a lot of people will be upset. We didn't get to a lot of the questions. It ended up being a very interesting conversation. And I really think that, we've at least started to shape something. We'll definitely get the Honorable back to address specific questions. But like I said, everybody will be involved in, or at least get information on how we're going to move this forward. We have a great roster of panelists here. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Honorable, for always being there for us. I know we've taken your time today.
I have taken your time. Thank you all for this. Like I said, by the time, let's just achieve results. And I know we will. With Nigerians like you on board, you guys are awesome. I'm proud to share the same dreams as you. So thank you very much.
Right. Okay. So cool. So thank you, everyone. And everybody stay safe.
Stay safe. And Ramadan Kareem for all my Muslim brothers and sisters. Happy Ramadan. Happy
Ramadan.
And
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you, everyone.
Great job.
I'll be in touch with everybody. And for the audience, please stand by for an email in the next couple of days.
Yeah, great job.
The video will be available. The recorded video will be available too.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Honorable.
Yeah.
Thank you
Good
so
talk.
much.
Good seeing you again.
Thank you very much,
Enjoy the
Honorable.
class.
Bye.
Right,
Bye,
thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Yeah.